This week on the Kokomo Press Podcast, we have a very special guest. His name is Adam Nelson, and he is 1/3 of the Taking It Too Far podcast, shot here locally in Kokomo, Indiana. He does the show with his good friends Brandon and Laura Palicki, and we're so excited to have him. We talked about so much, including the new Bud Light ad campaign that has everybody stirred up, including Kid Rock. We talked a little bit about Chris Rock's new special. We talked about the epidemic of teachers sleeping with their students. And we even discussed if maybe scientists have gone too far with the newest woolly mammoth meatball. I can't believe it. We talked about all of this and more. So stay tuned for this very long but very exciting episode of the Kokomo Press Podcast, baby. Woo!
Warning, this video contains adult content not suitable for children.
What's up? It's the Kokomo Press Podcast. I'm Jordan Granger, and as always, I'm joined by one of the best co-hosts in the world.
Yo, what's up? My name is Jordan Bell. Today, we have special guests from Taking It Too Far podcast.
His name is Adam Nelson.
There we go.
Adam.
That's my thing.
He's like, I don't like the... Oh, we're breaking stuff.
Right off the
Tornado.
bat.
Everybody
See?
batter down the hatches. We're getting more tornadoes.
I'm sorry. Hey, man, I ain't dealing with that can sitting next to me all day, but I can't help it. I can't help it. I don't want to catch the game.
I consider that gay bashing, if I'm honest.
I'm telling you.
Wait, will I become?
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, my God. It's too
Nope,
late.
it's still there.
Still there?
Yep.
Yeah, it's still there.
Need
It
one of
didn't
us?
fall
No,
off.
never mind.
Yeah, I need one of us to check. He's like, I've done too many dick jokes. Did you
Yep.
did you drop something else down there? It's right
dropped
by
my
there at the
vape.
bottom, right
I
there.
think,
Right there by the green. I can see it.
Your
We're
nasal
all
spray
over the
fell.
place here, guys. We've got so much going on here. We've had tornadoes the last couple weeks. We had some false tornadoes even. Like
It was
you guys had a
close.
lot going on up there. You live out in Rushville, right?
Bruceville, yeah.
Yeah. How'd
And
that
it went
go?
right around us.
Yeah.
I moved the mic already. Yeah.
Losing the mic already.
I had my 3 kids scattered across, and so I was a freaking wreck, just waiting until 2 o'clock till I knew. Are they all safe? Then it was
Oh
good,
yeah, that makes
so.
sense.
I live not far from here, so south end of town, and we were on that very tip edge.
Yeah.
And like we had everybody in our hallway, and coincidentally, I got a birthday gift that day, and it was a Captain America shield, which is legit. Like, yeah, you could fuck some people up with it.
Right.
So I was just sitting in the hallway with my shield, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I feel safe.
That makes sense. I mean, honestly, you said just the tip. You know, I'm just saying that beer might be working.
Maybe.
Off with the penis. I'm just kidding. You drink one Bud Light. Off with the penis. No.
I mean, is there too much air? They putting estrogen into this now?
I don't know what they're doing, but I hear it's working.
Look, I smoke a lot of weed, so my T level is low anyways. I don't care.
Yeah, mine's dropping. I saw my political compass test. Yeah, so Bud Light. Oh, sorry, this isn't what I was trying to show you guys. Bud Light came out. Dylan Mulvaney became the newest spokesperson for Bud Light, and the internet flipped out, including. Oh, there's Dylan. That's probably the best picture of Dylan. And then the internet freaked out, including the internet mainstay Chris Rock was balling with the ball, and he decided to shoot up a case of
Kid Rock.
Kid Rock. What did I say?
Chris Rock.
Chris Rock?
is
Rock?
bad
Different.
for other reasons.
It's a different.
Actually similar, but
I love Chris Rock.
wrong
I
with
watched that
Chris
special.
Rock?
We need to talk about this.
that special was horrible.
That
What
was
did you
the
not like
Thank
about
you.
it?
I thought it was weak as hell. I was expecting so much more.
What do you guys? I thought he went in.
No, look.
Oh, he should have went
That
so
special,
much harder.
that special was when like all Chris Rock did was say, "Hey, yo, Chappelle, let me copy your homework," and he changed it a bit, and that's all it was.
What did he say that was very Chappelle like?
I can't remember right now. Like we
Okay,
can go
'cause
back and
I
like
saw-
watch, but
I
like,
wanted you so bad to be here for the Chris Rock or the Chris. Now I'm doing Chris Rock for the Chris Owens podcast because
Yes.
I brought it up during that because
How
I was like,
sad
I
I
wanted to
missed
talk to you. I know you hit a deer. You
I hit a
fucking-
deer. I almost died, and then like I went crazy. My bad, bro.
for a couple weeks. But it makes
crazy?
sense. You're allowed to have an existential crisis when you almost die by hitting a deer driving home.
Thank you.
I think you're
appreciate
allowed.
that.
You have permission from the world.
Thanks. It was a little scary. I miss my kids.
But it's awesome because now I got 2 of you here. Yeah, I got 2 of you guys here that both disliked it. And I watched the special one time when it came out, the night it came out, and then I took a couple weeks and then I watched it again, and I was like, oh, I actually think he had some brilliant points, like some really cool, like the funny, like he was hitting some really crazy things. But also, you have to remember he had a year to. You usually spend like a year and a half on this set.
Yeah.
So some of the
Right.
stuff had been hit by other. It's hard. It's
Oh,
hard
I'm
as
not
fuck.
I wasn't saying. that it was bad. Because, I mean, there was stuff that I laughed at. I could see where he was going, and I just felt it was weak.
Yeah.
I thought every single one of his jokes, like, he would have 5 or 6, you know how Chris Rock does all this shit.
Yeah.
He'll do 5 or 6 jokes for each topic.
Yeah.
Each one of, like, they build up, and then usually the last one's just killer. And I felt like each one of his finishers for each topic that's something the old Chris Rock would have started with and built up from there. Not that it was horrible, not that he sucked, but it was just, I was expecting Tambourine, not whatever the hell that was.
Well, Tambourine was very, like it's personal to him.
Right.
Like, it was the most personal Chris Rock special I've ever seen. Like, he talked about his life way more than he talked about, like, the world. Like, normally he talks about cultural events. We all know, like, cultural things. He tries to bridge the gap. A lot of times, I feel like Chris Rock bridges the gap between white America and black America and kind of brings us together.
I think that's kind of the problem.
You don't like it?
That's why I've been turned off with Chris Rock for a long time. Because over time, I realized, bro, like, he kind of just took, like, white people's black jokes and said them to a group of white people, and they got laughs for them.
Right.
And he was beloved by
Which is great. Now I can finally laugh at my black jokes. I'm just not allowed to say them.
Hey, it's great. It's great unless, like, you're a black dude and you're like, I don't want all y'all laughing at me for that.
See, I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
Laugh at me for whatever so I can laugh at you so we can just have a good time.
I don't know. Like, sometimes it's just like Chris Rock. Chris Rock is very, very funny.
Say what he is. I know what you're trying.
I know. I think I know, but I'm not allowed to say.
I mean, he's absolutely like an Uncle Tom type.
It feels like
type
that's where you're
dude.
going a little bit.
He's an Uncle Tom type comedian.
Yeah.
He's always a kind of.
He really hangs out
that.
with a lot of white people.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
I hang out with a lot of white people.
Yeah, true.
I try to avoid them personally. I can't stand white people.
You know, it's a marginal, like, differential thing. There's just so many. Like, I'm just like, all right.
Yeah, you live in Indiana. There's not much you can do.
Yeah. There's corn and white people, and then just a sprinkle of us mixed people throughout. So
yeah, I'll take that.
Honestly, I was, because I remember I watched the Weekly Plug. Obviously, I edit that. If you guys check that out, check out the Weekly Plug. It's a great show.
Yo, we're coming back. I swear to God.
Yeah, they're coming. Actually, I think I actually have check that out, the Weekly Plug. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, Scrap and Hype. Hypocrisy. I keep wanting to call you Hype because I think it's funny.
That's okay.
But yeah, check out the
shit.
show. You guys talked a little bit about the Chris Rock thing, and I saw you guys going in on it, and the entire time I was like, I watched it and I was like, oh, it's not bad. And then I watched the second time and I actually liked it more. So maybe go back.
I might have to watch it again then.
I might have to watch it again. I know when he was hitting on the trans jokes.
That was like such a small part though.
You're
talking about 3 minutes.
It turned me off, and I was just like, I don't like where he's going with this. And it really felt like he was trying too hard with it.
I thought it was really funny because like he was relating the Kardashians. Like, the joke was, like, the Kardashians are the most accepting people on the planet. They love brothers. And he did, like, a whole bit about OJ, you know, Robert Kardashian helping OJ get off, and then God appearing and being like, now your daughters are only going to date black guys.
Yeah.
It was,
and
then he went
funny.
into,
I giggled at that.
He's like, they're
legit.
He's like, they're the best family because they're very accepting. He's like, there's not very many families where dad could come home and say, after all these years, dad comes home and says, you know, actually, I'm a woman. Yeah. And everybody's that accepting so quick. He's like, and he was relating it to his own black experience with his brothers. He's like, if I came home and my dad said, hey, I'm a trans woman now, he's like, I would get it because I'm around those type of people. Yeah. So he was like, I would accept immediately. I'd be fine because I'm cultured. I've been around everybody. I work with everybody. He's like, but my brother's a truck driver. Yeah. And he's like, he might take a minute and he might be like, what the hell? And he was bringing up all the things his brother might have said. And then the punchline was, she's yo daddy, respect her. And I think like that's a great perspective of taking something that is like, they were so accepting so quick. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he's like, not everybody will. Because he was kind of talking like, you know, my family versus theirs. So I think it was very personal, but also that joke was like 3 minutes. He did like 4 minutes on white people in the Capitol and make fun. I feel like everybody's like, oh, he was being very like token to white people. I was like, no, before that, he spent about like 5-10 minutes like being like, white people, you're trying to take the country back away from who? Other white people? Like, right. To me, I feel like he's still Chris Rock. He's still hitting the things.
I look for you, and because I made you watch Game of Thrones.
I did watch the whole thing. That was a lot of TV.
I will rewatch the Chris Rock special.
Watch it, like, think about it in the headspace of like that one trans bit is like such a tiny bit. Okay. Like there's so many good bits in there that I was dying at the abortion jokes. You got to remember all the topics he hit because he hit so many liberal topics. He's like, I paid for abortions. Like
He's not wrong.
He was very left. Just the most left wing special I've ever seen. Honestly, compared to he was killing it. I thought the abortion stuff was so funny, dude. It was some of the funniest shit. Like, even if you're not pro-abortion, you would laugh at it because you'd be like, bro, he's killing it. Like, I pay for him. I can't talk about it. I paid for more than everybody in this room in abortion. Like, it was so funny, dude. I love it. And to me, it wasn't as personal as Tambourine.
Right.
Which I realized, a lot of people got that personal Chris Rock, and they're like, ugh.
And I still feel like it was just held. I think he was nervous because of the.
That's the one where he was talking a lot about his sex addiction and shit like
that?
Okay.
And about
they all run together for me.
Yeah.
I actually misquoted them. That's the only title that I can think of, but. At the end of the day,
Tambourine.
Yeah, that's
the most recent one.
Right.
Bigger and Blacker. He's got some
Bigger
really
and
good ones.
Yeah.
That one. I mean, when Chris Rock first came out, he was like blackety black. Like, he was very and he still is. But I do think he spent so much time in the industry. You get very vanilla. It's just not.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to stay creative.
Oh, yeah.
Just in general. I don't expect somebody to come out with a stand-up set to be better than the last one every single fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
That's absurd, and your standards are way too high.
Yeah,
That's what you think, because shit's hard.
I went and seen George Carlin right at the end of his career.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was disappointed because I'm used to, you see him on TV, and just by then, like you said, he puts this thing together for a year. And when it's a special, it's polished. Everything is, he knows exactly what to say, when to say it, where to say it.
Yeah.
I seen it at the makeup side. Now that I'm older and I can appreciate, man, I seen art being formed versus here's my art piece.
Yeah.
And that took me a little while because, man, I'm going to see Carlin finally. And
you expected it to be polished and have the
it really
rhythm.
wasn't that funny. I mean, I laughed.
Yeah.
So I don't think Chris Rock got that this time because obviously, not to mention the big Netflix deal and all that stuff. So it was groundbreaking right after something that was really traumatizing for him. You know what I mean? So
did you guys watch? Did you guys
a little weak?
Did you guys ever watch the Brilliant Idiots? You guys ever watch the Brilliant Idiot podcast?
No clue what
It's an interesting podcast. It's Charlemagne the God and Andrew Schultz.
Oh, okay.
Andrew Schultz is a stand-up comedian.
Oh, I've seen their bits. Okay.
That Brilliant Idiots is the name of their podcast. They did a whole conversation on the Chris Rock thing and how all this came about. And I mean, honestly, I think they have some of the best takes on there, if I'm being honest with you. It's just it makes sense what they're saying. They're explaining it, and the way that Andrew Schultz explains how the bit formed, how it, because he's it takes time for these bits to go, and it's Chris Rock threw that last part, which was really funny. And then one of the things they said that was the most poignant thing that is bro, people are already paying the price of admission because of the Will Smith thing. Why'd you have to do it live? Because doing it live is probably why you felt the awkwardness.
It felt like he was nervous.
Yep.
And
And
that whole special was live?
He did it live.
It was
the
the
first live Netflix ever.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
did it
realize that.
live.
Honestly, I didn't realize that. So
If you go back now and watch it, they cut it right.
Did
It's
they
done
edit it?
like a real. They cut it right, and he did multiple shows after that, and then they edited together. That's why they normally do specials.
Right.
It's actually multiple shows, and he actually flubbed one of the jokes, the emancipation joke.
Yeah.
At the end. I don't know, he said the wrong thing, which was real. It was a really funny joke, but and then he did that joke that kind of pissed people off, where he was like, "They got me out here rooting for Massa."
I thought it was funny.
It was funny.
I thought it was funny.
It made sense because he set it up really well because he was
Right.
I don't know if you could tell on TV. He's way bigger than me. He's he played Muhammad Ali. I played Pookie from New Jack City. He's explaining we're different. He's and then he hit me. He's that's why I'm watching this emancipation movie, rooting for Massa. He's the joke. Hit him again, Massa. Hit him again.
Yeah.
It's stupid and if he's not a black guy, it's horribly racist. But the fact that. And then, the one thing about Chris Rock, the thing that I think gives him a million year pass on everything people want to say about racial stuff is that motherfucker went to a school with 5 black kids and was bused to the school during segregation. Was one of the first black kids at his school. Got piss thrown at him, shit thrown at him, got fucking spit on, got called every fucking word in the book. This dude lived through all that and still and then goes on national TV, gets slapped in the face. Probably the biggest L anybody's taken live anywhere. And to me, it's everybody wants to like kind of hound on Chris Rock, and you know there was a lot of people defending him as well. I'm not saying that there's just one side.
I was one of them.
Yeah, we defended.
Hounded
Yeah.
or defended?
Huh?
Hounded or defended?
Defended when he got
Defended.
slapped.
Yeah, when he got slapped.
Yeah. Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
because we make jokes. You know what I mean? If you make jokes at all for a living, even if you do it as a hobby like we do, it was a scary moment a little bit because you're like, fuck. And I've been on stage. I've done comedy. You know,
Right.
I could piss somebody off real quick and get slapped.
Comedy's hard as fuck. Look, I've been trying to put together like a 15-minute set for like 3 years now, and it's hard.
That was my dream. I've got stuff written down since I was like 6 years old, but I've just never had the nuts to do it. So.
It's the same thing. I'm always telling Jordan, like, yeah, I'm gonna do it this time, and then like I got some stuff, and I'm just like,
I think that was one of the first conversations we had because we had talked to each other at work a little bit outside, but then we had talked the first kind of conversations we had where we talked about doing things like this, like all the things that we did together now, like we've done so much, was like he was like, yeah, I think I might get into doing stand up. I'm like, hell yeah, and here we are like 5 years later, and
I still haven't
got to get you.
haven't done it?
I've done a whole lot of other things that had nothing. Well, some of them similar to do with stand up, but like not stand up itself. It's really intimidating.
I can't imagine just standing there. And, man, that would be.
You're coming to the comedy show, right?
I believe I am.
Yeah, he bought tickets. I don't know. I know he bought 4 tickets. Usually that means you're.
Oh yeah, he told me we were going.
Hell yeah, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have. I'll bring that up for people. We're having so much fun talking. I haven't even brought up very much stuff, but like that belated
comedy bash.
420 comedy bash. Yeah. It looks weird the way I did the wording on there, but it's supposed to be that belated 420 comedy bash, but it says that belated. It was supposed to be a playoff of that 70 show because like obviously weed, and then the dude looks kind of like Chong, so I was like Jake Rubel, who's the headliner, and then he was just on Jay Muse, Jay and Silent Bob's comedy tour, so that's pretty cool. So he's hung out with them for a while, and then between like he's also, I guess he has a big TikTok, but then we have Alicia Sears, Brian Smiley, Brian West, and then I'm gonna host, and this says $5, but the tickets were $10, but we're sold out, so you can't come if you don't have tickets.
Exclusive.
That part.
Yeah. I love that, dude. Third sold out show. 3 shows, 3 sold out shows.
Really?
Hell yeah.
I'll take it.
Kokomo Press is a name, baby.
There you go.
Take it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm excited. We've got a couple more ideas coming up too. I've talked to you a little bit about it, but I got one it's going to involve me, you, Courtney, and Brian all together.
Yay.
On stage.
Oh yes.
Do you guys want to know? Since you were watching the podcast, it's going to be. I want to do a live podcast.
I like it.
A live podcast with a studio audience.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like it. Plus, we're brainstorming a lot of other things. A lot of other things to come the next coming summers.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what I can say because I don't want to get mean looks, but you know.
He came to our show and just like spilled the beans on everything. So it was great.
It was fun. It was fun when I got to lower my inhibitions because I wasn't pressing all the buttons.
I like it.
We got him weakened up with his guard, and he was just.
So he told you about Alan before he told me.
I don't know who Alan is.
Alan James.
Well, I just had to check, man.
No. The only people that knew about Alan James were at the time that I know of were me, Brian, probably Destiny, and Shelby had to know because she was like, "What the fuck? I can't live with somebody and not tell them because she'll just be looking at me all the time. Like, you're lying to me. You're lying." And plus, like, if there's a bag,
how you think my household went? Because it was, what is going on with you guys? I really don't know. Wait, you don't know? How do you not know? You don't know? Like your face is up there. How do you not know?
Yeah, my bad. No, honestly, I remember like Brian and I were brainstorming this. I'll catch you up a little bit probably.
Yeah, I'm so far behind.
So for April, Brian hit me up and he was like, "Hey man, do you want to do an April Fool's joke?" And I'm like, they don't fucking work. We're a comedy page. Like anything we post on that day, nobody's gonna believe. And I was like, but there's like, I have an idea, but I don't know if we can pull it off. And he's like, oh, well, tell me. And I told him, and I was like, this is what I want. I was like, what we do. Do you know Alan James?
No.
Did you see 925 Alan James in the morning? He was
when
we were kids. He was the big radio guy for Z925. Then he moved to WBKI, and then he now owns the River out in Logansport. He runs the radio station out there. But he was here forever. Like has the key to the city. Like he's that type of guy. He's done everything. Was the mayor for a day. Like they did a whole like mayor swap between him and like I think Lucian or something. But
Lucian.
I think Troball. Maybe Troball. Lucian was the senator or state congressman,
something like that.
He used to live in this house.
I thought you were talking about Leftfoot.
Yeah, Lucian. Oh, Jushin.
No, Lucian's Leftfoot from Outcast, Big Boy.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Is his name Lucian?
Lucius.
Oh, Lucius. Okay, I've only known him as Big Boy, and I know Andre's name because his name's Andre.
3 stacks.
Yeah, 3 stacks. No, but I hit him up and I was like, hey, what do you think? And he was like, I'll message him. Just send me what you want me to message. And I wrote this whole long thing, like, you know, and it ended like with thanks for being the voice of our childhood, blah blah blah, like trying to be sweet about it.
Right.
Brian sends it to him and he's like, now we wait. And he's like, oh my god. And he sends me a snap and he's like, call me with his personal number. So Brian called him, explained it to him. He sent us 2 videos where he's like, I bought the Kokomo Press, because that was like the bit was like, we're gonna set it up like, oh, we're being bought, you know, the Kokomo Press is being bought, and then Alan James bought, because in my head I'm like, the only way we pull this off is if we do a couple of days lead up.
Right.
Then we release it on that day, and then we need it to be realistic. Like, if we were like, we got bought by Mark Hewitt, everybody would be like, fuck you.
Shut up.
Yeah.
But
right.
Alan James, everybody knows him, but hasn't heard, you know, much about him unless you're at Logosport. And it kind of seems realistic that a guy who runs media companies might buy a media, like might buy a comedy. So he does the video, and the video was like, if we can get the video, it can sell it. There were so many people that believed it based on the video.
Yeah.
Like, and it looked realistic, right? Like, if you watch the video, you have to go back and watch it. But it's like, we do like a whole lead up. Like, I did like he's coming, like with his like silhouette.
I seen those.
Okay.
I seen some of that stuff.
And then we released the video where he's like, hey guys, it's Alan James. You know, I've been busy. And he's like, but I bought it. I bought Kokomo Press. I own it. It's mine now. Can't wait to work with everybody. Like, doing the whole thing. And then he sent my name. And so he's like, can't wait to work with Jordan and Brian. I'm like, great. It's going to sound even worse. And then he sends it to us and we're like talking about it leading up. And then Brian and I were like, well, wouldn't it be funny if we pulled the prank on Jordan and Courtney too, and then tell them, and then like they see the video and it's like, yeah, can't wait to work with Jordan and Brian. They're like, do we still have a hobby or a job or whatever you want to call this fucking thing? Like,
yeah.
Like we wanted to like make them sweat a little bit, and then Jordan was posted in the group, and Courtney was like, I don't fucking believe you, and Jordan's like, I've got anxiety on 100% right now, and I'm like feeling horrible because I'm lying to everybody. I got people I had like 20 messages from different people like, is this real? Is this real? What the fuck's going on? What's going on? You guys really get bought? And I got to be like, yeah. And then I had to formulate a lie, which was like, it's for ad revenue. You know, we need them to do the taxes. So I'm like, I hate this. And like the whole idea was because Brian was like, we shouldn't tell them. We shouldn't tell them. I'm like, he's like, it'll be hilarious to see their faces. And then when it came time to tell them, I was like, I'll meet you guys at Starbucks, him and Courtney. And then I like recorded a little bit of them coming in and stuff. And then put a video up that it was the other video, and they were watching it. And then I put it down. I was like, just kidding. It's all an April Fool's joke. and I was like, this bullshit part was like, Brian wasn't even there to say anything. I had to deal with it all on my own. But it was, to me, like, it was worth it in the end because it really did, like, it seemed real.
Yeah, no, it felt real. I had real anxiety. Didn't know how to feel. Didn't know if I was supposed to be mad at you, happy, or what. Like, it's cool. Like,
you know what? It's kind of like payback because you pulled away for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Well, he pulled away from it because he had that accident and he had like that, which makes perfect sense. Like the whole time I was just more concerned because like I'm like, your hobbies. Or everything to you. I was like, once you stop doing your hobbies, I get scared.
No.
When people start to pull away.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? If anybody who's followed the podcast knows that Jordan has said, you know, many times that that like doing these hobbies, wrestling, all these things, like kind of saves your life. Like
yeah. It's kind of the reason I'm still alive. Yeah. Which is all still true and not true. I just like I have a habit of doing too much.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like maybe you guys know me or have met me or whatever. I do a lot and do the most sometimes. So like I don't know. I took a 5-hour drive to Illinois, and the whole time I'm just like, man, I don't want to do this. I want to be around my kids. Like this is a 10-hour round trip. Like, and I love wrestling. Absolutely love it. But I love doing podcasting more, and I love being around my family a little bit more, and like I don't want to take away from that anymore. And like I really just like we have this community that we built, and it's really weird, like kind of circling back to like the Kokomo Press being bought out. Like almost cried because it's kind of like my baby too.
Now I'm feeling worse and worse every second.
I would pour the coals on.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
We need some Sarah McLachlan shit going on while you say this.
It's absolutely because like we built this community and shit, and like I want to continue to build it, and like I think we have a lot of plans for doing good for the community, as well as making fun of you all, and like that's the most important things to me right now.
making you smile while you feel like shit. About being here.
Well, you guys, okay. I want to pivot a little bit. Like I'm so happy like that you're here, and I'm just happy that you didn't take too far away. The one thing about the one like caveat I did have to like pulling the prank on you and Courtney was I knew you had to pull away.
Yeah.
And I was feeling like maybe you felt like everything was happening when you pulled away, and you're like, what? And you're like kind of in the dark. But the reason why I was like, this might be okay is because Courtney was also pretty much in the dark. She didn't know anything at all.
Oh, it also helped that Courtney was like, this is all bullshit. And I was like, it's probably all bullshit. And then I was like, oh yeah. I didn't even realize that it was April 1st because I've been so out of it. Plus, April 1st happened to be WrestleMania Day, and that's the only thing that matters.
Oh my God.
So in my mind, I'm like, the fuck? Or
Well, how are you doing? So you were 1/3. Let's go ahead and get into Adam here because you're 1/3 of the Taking It Too Far podcast group.
Yeah.
It's because you and we've had Brandon Policki on the podcast, and then his wife Laura.
Yes.
Right. So how did you get involved? Because I know originally there was a couple of different other podcasts going on. How did you get involved?
So me and Brandon have known each other for a while. I went to school. He was a couple years younger than me, and I've said it before. I'll say it again. I fucking hated him. God, couldn't stand that guy. Couldn't stand.
That's how this works. I didn't like Jordan.
I didn't like any of his friends. I didn't like him. Yeah, he's just an annoying little fuck.
And then so you didn't like him. How did you guys get linked up then?
We started working together at a place called Porter down in Westfield.
Yeah.
We had a ball. I mean, it was just one of the, you're out of that atmosphere. It's a whole, like, you're not in high school no more. It was just a couple years after high school, so it's not like it was years.
But that familiarity of knowing each other at all helped kind of bridge that gap.
Yeah, it was now you're around a bunch of fucking dudes that are we're doing our job, you know.
Yeah.
So what can we do to make it better?
Yeah.
Me and him clicked then, had a great time. We both went our separate ways, but bumped into each other every once in a while.
Yeah.
And one day he said, "Hey man, I'm doing a podcast. Well, I'm doing two, but I need a guest. We're doing Getting to Know Your Neighbor." Which was just pretty much literally just that. He was trying to practice for the Taking It Too Far podcast, I think, or just trying to get a little bit out there.
It's like an interview format where he interviewed one-on-one, right?
Yeah, just one-on-one. Just, hey, I'm from Kokomo, you're from Kokomo. Let's just talk about our Kokomo in life. That's cool. And I said, "What the fuck do you want me for?" He said, "Do you remember the van?" Yeah, which is we used to carpool back and forth. That's why I want you on here. All right, cool. So we sat there and done that. I had a blast. And he said he said, "Anytime you want to come back, let me know."
Oh yeah,
call me. I'm free tomorrow, bro. Whatever.
And then you guys moved from doing the Know Your Neighbor to doing the Taking It Too Far podcast. So
he was already doing that
with somebody else, right?
Right.
And then there was like a falling out.
There was some sort of disagreement.
Do you know what it is? You don't have to tell us, but do you know?
I have heard one side of it.
You've heard his side.
I've heard one side of it, which makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's all the one I care about.
I've been trying to get the tea on that. I'm gonna try to get Laura to tell me when she comes on because she might know a little bit.
She knows more than I do. I just get the Reader's Digest version. It was enough to paint the picture.
I just hope it's not nothing like horrible, like him making a pass at his wife or something. Because I know that's something that
I'm pretty sure he fucked his dog.
Oh my god!
I think so.
Oh my god!
Just kidding.
I mean,
I don't even know this guy. I've never met this guy. I don't have any issue.
Yeah. I don't know who he is. I had the funny thing is when I had Brandon on the podcast, I had a few people reach out to me and they were like, "Do you know what happened between him and his old,
super
guy?"
secret?"
And I was like, "I don't know what happened." I was like, "But they probably fucked knowing Brandon, like joking around.
Right.
Brandon probably fucked him."
What if he really is a dog fucker though? Like
I don't know. I'm not knocking the guy. I don't know him. I mean, I listened to the show. It was funny.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy. Like, I think you guys have a good rapport and the going back and forth. You are kind of like the pessimistic, and he's like the internal optimist.
Kinda.
Yeah.
No, he's. I don't know. He sometimes gets a little. He drags it down a little bit.
Yeah. He does kind of get in his. I think like he is up and down.
He's like a fart in a skillet. I mean, he's just back and forth. But he's good. He's a good time.
He's the EKG. Beep, beep. He's that guy.
If we can if we can keep up with him, then it's a good show.
Yeah. Are you involved at all in the Lost Dollar stuff with him, or
other than when he gives me a shirt, I'll wear it. I'll bring it up, just joking on the show.
He does. Brandon has his own like clothing line.
I know. I've hit him up. Told him, let me know. I'll wear whatever. Help plug merch.
Yeah. I wore the shirt the other day. I forgot. He gave me a cool hat and a shirt, and I was like, "Oh, this is badass." And then I put the hat on and wore it. And then my son wore it. I sent him a picture like, "Hey, here's my son wearing it. You're cool." Yeah. If my son wore the hat, then that's the kids. Yeah.
Good. That's legit.
And then I was looking, and I was like, "I need a blue shirt," and I was like, what the fuck is that? And oh shit, I forgot about this shirt. I pulled it out of the plastic. Still smelled like vinegar, new shirt smelled like vinegar.
Nice.
Pulled it out and put it on and wore it to work. I was like, it's pretty cool, pretty badass.
He hands me shirts all the time that would fit my son, but he doesn't realize. He's like, what size are you? Still? Yeah. I haven't gone to the gym, bro. Like, I still need the biggest shirt you can order. I appreciate it.
Give me the biggest one you got. Yeah. Well, I'm excited because the fact that you're a big guy is really helpful because you're actually this is breaking news for everybody. I don't know if I'm allowed to even tell everybody this, but I will because we're a couple minutes into the podcast. People probably already either stopped listening or they're the diehards, and I love you,
and they deserve to know.
And they deserve to know. But Dorfman Midgets is doing a music video for their new Dedicini Alfredo song from the movie. That's the name of the title of the movie, and because Dorfman Midgets, the actor in the movie that played the super creepy prostitute was Jesse, he's got to be him. So we had to find another actor.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Okay, I see it.
Like we need somebody bigger than me who can tower over me because I'm gonna be the opposite of him. And I don't want to give away too much, but there's apparently supposed to be like a Scooby-Doo chase. Like he's the monster. I'm gonna be like running from the Scooby-Doo guy. So
I like it.
I'm excited.
I like it.
It'll be fun. It's something to me. Like Maddie hit me up and was like, "Do you want to do this?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I'm down." He's like, "Do you know anybody that would want to do this?" Because I can't find anybody that can fill the costume out and look menacing. I'm like, I think I know a guy. Because when I was on Taking It Too Far podcast, he was like, "Hit me up. I'll do whatever. I'll suck your dick."
I believe my exact words were, "I'm a whore." So
exactly.
Yeah,
I want to definitely put this out there for people. Check out. Listen, they're at 863 likes and 910 follows. Let's try to get these guys to 1,000, dude. Let's get it going, dude.
It.
But that's Taking It Too Far podcast. This is actually a lot. You guys are doing video now, which I'm very excited
thanks.
about.
Thanks about that.
He did say it was my fault.
And
I was like, don't blame me for that. I was like, video, you have to. The retention's higher. But this is the three of you. Brandon on the far right, Laura in the middle, and the handsome guy on the left is you, obviously. And then same kind of concept here. And he's wearing, the other two are wearing Lost Dollar gear. I don't know about you. Where's your Lost Dollar gear, baby?
I showed up from work. He goes, we're taking pictures. I'm in work clothes. All right, fine. I guess I'll just sit here with all my glory hanging out.
I like the skull on the chest. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that hurt.
You got a lot of tats?
I got a couple.
Yeah, you got a decent amount, man.
Working on one when it's done, hopefully. Yeah.
Hell yeah. It's cool anyway. I was lucky enough to be a guest on the show. Had a very good time, goofed off. We talked about a bunch of shit. And then I left there and I was like, I think I talked about too much.
Oh, that episode was the only episode. I got a buddy that works with me and he listens to everything. That's the only one he had a complaint. He goes, I couldn't follow it. I said, why not? And I think we talked. There was a lot of It was just a free for all. I had a blast because we were just talking. But when you go back and listen to it, it said, it'd be a lot better if we were professional.
Sometimes that happens. Sometimes with a podcast, it's hard to control the flow of these things.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And because sometimes, right here, we started off trying to talk about Bud Light, ran off into Kid Rock, into Chris Rock, and now we're here. So
that's how we do our whole thing. That's why we always talk about you guys saying they're the that's the A team, and here we are because when people say, "What are you guys going to talk about?" Hell, we don't know. We'll figure it out when we get there.
That's kind of always been that's somewhat been the philosophy here. Because like here, this started because of our group chat, I think, in so many ways. It was just like everything we talk about in our group chat, what if we just filmed it and let everybody hear it? Like, how would that work? So
you'll either get some fans or get put on a watch list. There's really no in between.
I think both.
I know for a fact. I'm never going to run for president.
Oh, yeah.
I still want to.
I want to. I just know it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm afraid to run for anything. I'm not even going to start with mayor or nothing, dude. There's too many skeletons in my closet, literally.
No,
I'm just kidding. No, like honestly, that's really how it started. And I was telling him, he was like, "Man, this is crazy." Like when you kind of said this, I had a lot of people when they come in now because you and I, we know what it was like when we started. And I was explaining to him, I was like, when we started, it was the iPad with an extension cord to a blue microphone. And you guys go back to the first episode, you'll see it. And Jordan and I, when we filmed the first episode, it was supposed to be a test episode, and we were just like, "Fuck it, let's put it out." People liked it. It did all right. We're like, let's keep doing it. And then we upgraded here, and then we upgraded the video, and then we
started adding guests.
Yeah,
and just
so much.
snowfalled and just.
It does grow pretty quick, though.
Yeah, it really can. It just it's the amount of work that you put into it,
yeah.
and thankfully,
And
I
money.
think thankfully we have this
Money.
We have money. Thankfully, we have this group where we've been, between the four of us, we've been able to kind of flow in and out and
Hell yeah.
like keep it up. So
Right.
even
I love
when there's
it.
lulls,
I love it because when we started the podcast and we were doing all that, and then now since then we've grown off. We have the weekly plug as a part of the group, and then we have this new show that we're working on that that'll come out soon. I don't even want to give out. You guys know the name of the show. Don't want anybody to know the name of the show yet.
Yeah.
But we're compiling a list of people. We're gonna do this cool little debate format, and then of course once Courtney gets around to it, we do have WAP, but we kind of have she's dropped the ball on that a little
what's
bit.
up with Courtney's WAP, yo?
You know,
I don't know her well enough to comment on her
I don't want to
WAP.
comment on her WAP.
No, it's okay.
It's
Like,
okay. You can.
Can I?
She puts it out there.
Yeah, there's her WAP right there. You want to see her WAP with Courtney?
Yeah.
So it's a weekly advice and perspective, and I thought it'd be cool. Like we were talking about, like what is she good at? Like what does she do most times? She goes, well, mostly my friends just message me and ask me questions about stuff. And I'm like, let's turn that into a show. It's like Jordan's doing this culture and like pop culture show. Let's turn yours into an advice and perspective show, and then I'll do a debate show. I'm like, and then we still have the podcast, and then we still have all the skits and stuff. I was like, and between all of us, we'll come up with some great shit.
And then on the Patreon, Brian has an OnlyFans where it's just him sitting naked, reading out Robin Williams lines. I don't get the concept, but it works. People like it.
My penis is out. Oh,
I've seen it. It's pretty good.
yeah, it's pretty
yeah,
good. It's
yeah.
not bad. It's not bad. The dick's not great, but the rest of it's
Yeah.
cool. You guys
R.I.P. Robin.
R.I.P. Robin. Did you guys have a chance to watch any of the new Lil Dicky TV show?
Still have
You
not
ever
yet.
watch that?
No.
You ever watch Dave? Oh my god, it's so fucking stupid.
I just got pirated Hulu again for the first time. I'm not gonna pay.
That's what
for
it's
it.
on.
Hell yeah.
I know.
No,
I just
pirate
seen-
all the way.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm rewatching Letterkenny because
Letterkenny's good.
That's
Good.
great. And then I want to watch Shoresy, and I just seen the little thing for that Little Dicky or
Yeah.
whatever.
Dave.
If I could
Dave.
say, skip Shoresy.
Yeah.
Is it bad?
It's not very
Watch Little Dicky.
Dave.
And then watch Shoresy later when you have nothing else.
I have nothing. This is it. I've been excited for this for now
Okay.
2 weeks. I've been just waiting.
I'm excited to
Clan.
have you here.
Watch Wu-Tang Clan.
Wu-Tang Clan?
Yeah.
Wu-Tang. What's it called?
American Saga.
American Saga.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang.
Or if you're really bored, just cheap plug, but go back and watch the episodes of the weekly plug because
Yeah, I
we
can
give
do that
all
shit.
sorts of like documentaries, episode or TV series, all sorts of shit.
And
Yeah,
what
they
was
really
that thing
do.
on Patreon you was talking about? I want to check that out too.
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Send you Brian's link.
Yeah.
Brian's penis. It's called a sausage link. That's what the link's called.
There you go.
Hey. No, I was thinking about a couple of different things I wanted to bring up today for topics, and I figured, did you guys, I don't know if you guys had any chance of seeing this, but did you see scientists have created a meatball of a woolly mammoth, but they're too scared to eat it? No fucking shit. I'd be scared to eat it
There's
too.
no way in hell I would.
Would you ever eat
Yeah,
woolly
I'd try it.
mammoth?
I'd try it. Fuck it.
I don't even understand what this means. So like, it was frozen, right?
They found DNA of a woolly mammoth, and then they've recreated, like kind of like the same way they're gonna do, like they're trying to do like chicken and shit. Like they're trying to create like meat that in a lab that's like not like, I guess doesn't kill. Like it's, what do they call that? Vegan? No, I'm just kidding.
I'll put some Franks on that shit.
I would try it.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Some Frank's hot sauce. I put that shit on everything.
I've ate
Yeah.
McDonald's, so I'm sure.
Yeah, it can't be anywhere, bro. Yeah.
That's not meat. So.
Everybody knows that McDonald's is squirrel ankles anyway. Everybody knows that you're just eating
It's the best part of the squirrel. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, it's where all the flavor is.
That's where
bro.
all the work. I just thought it was interesting. I'm like, fuck this. What they're science? We've done this before on the podcast. Like science is going too far, and I feel like this is.
Haven't
another-
they seen the movies? Don't fuck with dead shit. Leave it alone.
I don't know. Let's try it. Let's order some of these, and we'll try it like on the podcast, like
Yeah,
together, right?
That'd be fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we're already trying the Bud Lights.
Mine's probably still shook all to hell.
Still not a woman.
still not a woman.
I'm okay.
When you define what a woman is, that's the right way.
No.
Penis.
No. I don't know.
Penis.
I don't think that's how you define what a woman is either, but
God.
or something. But I don't know because I don't know. I don't know things.
Yeah. I barely know anything. If I'm
Yeah,
being
I
honest
don't
with
know
you.
anything. That's why I keep my mouth shut usually.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's really all about this: my neck, my back, my pussy, and my crack.
That's great.
That's the best name I've ever seen in my life.
I would like to meet her.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
It has to be fake, right? There's no way that's real.
50 Shades of Council Estates.
I love it, dude. I love it. Anyway, yeah. So what are you guys about to all week?
It's been WrestleMania week, bro. I'm still like trying to recover from wrestling. It's a lot.
I've avoided WrestleMania for the last 10, 15 years. So
Yeah.
I got out of the wrestling. I loved it.
You?
Huh?
Who hurt you?
I watched wrestling religiously, but I don't know. I guess I outgrew it. Plus, The Undertaker retired.
It's okay if Hogan hurt you. Like, he hurt me too. Like,
I was a Hulkster. Fuck off. I don't care.
Okay.
I get it. Like, it hurt my feelings what he did, but when I was a kid, that was, he was something.
Yeah, he was something.
What you gonna do, brother? What you gonna do when the Hulkman decides to?
You didn't watch
Hold
Paradise
everyone down.
Yeah. Now, we talked a lot, like the last 2 weeks, we talked a shit ton. The last 2 podcasts, we talked a shit ton of wrestling because we had Chris Owens,
Yeah,
the
wrestling
Alpha
is life.
Athlete, and the Prophet.
And you had my former
Prophet.
My
Grubb.
Justin Grubb, which is fun. Shout out to him and I guess AACW guys.
Yeah. They have a show coming up, I think.
That's cool.
That's cool. Yeah, you gonna go?
No. No. I won't.
There was a falling out.
I feel like I'm missing something here, but I don't. I get the idea. I'm on your side.
Thanks.
Whatever
It is on your side. This is basically what happened. I'm just kidding. Did you guys see this shit? So everybody, I don't know, just to catch everybody up a little bit. Scottie Pippen's ex-wife is now dating Michael Jordan's son, Marcus Jordan. I don't know if you guys know about that.
Oh, wow.
But Larissa Pippen says she'll definitely change her last name to Jordan if she marries Marcus Jordan, which is insane to me that like Scottie Pippen's ex-wife is with Michael Jordan's son. That's insane.
Wow.
And
that is some scandalous shit in the NBA, isn't it?
Dude. They're gonna. I'm like, well, what?
So, is this not predatory? Could it be predatory? Like,
he's an
how
adult.
long
He's an
have they
adult.
been around each other?
Is he
Like, no, like
that goes back to that consent shit we were talking about.
yeah. These are legit. This is how my brain works. I don't know, but look, like they had to have known each other for what, like 20.
But she babysit him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
And she was changing diapers like one day.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm gonna let
Scottie
this one
Pippen
marinate for 25 years, and I'm gonna fuck that.
I don't know if Scottie Pippen and Jordan were that close. Though.
Yeah, probably not.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
They're about to get closer.
But Marcus Jordan and Larissa Pippen were close. So you don't know.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if you look at her tits and her ass, she's definitely had a BBL and new tits. So those are probably younger than he is, if we're being honest. Right?
That could be true too.
If the tits and ass
and
are
does
younger,
that
you're
bring
good.
the ratio down? She's
Yeah, I think
50,
so.
but her tits are 10.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do an average.
I think the math works. She's like 25 now.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah,
Mean, median, and mode. That's all I know.
Yeah. So.
I just thought it was interesting because if they get married, she's going to become Larissa Jordan from Pippen. And I'm like, man, if they have a kid together, that kid might be a pretty good ball player.
No, absolutely. LeBron who?
LeBron,
Yeah,
exactly.
Bronny ain't got
who?
shit.
I don't know. He balled out on that that American, what is it? The All-American game?
Oh, yeah.
The McDonald's All-American game. He balled out, apparently. He had like 6 threes.
He's the
Are you
son
big-
of
are you a big
LeBron
sports guy?
James. What do you expect him to do?
Go ahead. He asked a question, and I was listening to you. I'm
No,
like,
you're good.
You
No,
finished.
You're good, yeah.
He's the son of LeBron James. What do you expect him to do? If he did shit,
Yeah.
We'd hear about him more.
Well, just to be clear though, Marcus Jordan's in the news because he's dating Larissa Pippen, not because he's a good ball player. So, and he's the son of one of the best ball players of all time. So, but I do think that at the end of the day, if Bronny and I can't remember his other younger boy's name, Bryce, he's killing it too. I heard he's really good. He's actually bigger than Bronny. Might even be better than Bronny. But I mean,
one of them dunked on the other one I saw, and they made big news. Yeah.
I don't know. Probably Bryce. Bryce is now bigger than Bronny, which is insane. I think Bryce is like 6'5", and Bronny's like 6'2", something like that. Yeah. Hey, Nathaniel, I'm doing a podcast. Will you shut up? I already tell him all the time. I have a kid. He's in the room next to me, and I tell him all the time to shut the hell up, and he doesn't listen.
That's fun.
Shut up! He's
What's
12.
his rap name again?
Spirit. Well, he's changed it. It was Lil Spirit. Now it's just Spirit, but it's spelled S-P-R. Nathaniel!
Lil Spirit!
Shut up!
Yes, sir.
Yes, Dad. I'm sorry. Nah,
That's funny.
I literally, before every podcast, I go in there and say, hey, Bob, I'm going to start a podcast at 2. Make sure you're gone for a couple hours. He's like, okay, Dad, sounds good. And then in the middle of the podcast, here, you suck at Fortnite. I'm going to teabag you. Something like that. I'm like, Fortnite sucks.
I love it. That's how my kids are now too. Like we'll film the plug, and then like they'll be jumping off their bed, and I'm just like, the fuck, bro.
That's why we do everything at Brandon's house, because my kids will kick in the door and say, "What's up, fuckers?"
How old is yours?
I've got 3. Well, 2.5. I got a 14-year-old, 10-year-old, and 8-year-old.
Yeah.
So
what's the half?
She's my ex-stepdaughter, but
Yeah.
I've raised her. She's mine.
So the oldest is how old?
She's 14.
14. Your oldest is?
Yes.
Okay.
She's living with me at the moment, but
Yeah.
it's weird, fun, sticky situation. It just sucks.
Yeah.
But she's happy, so
Yeah.
she's my girl.
I mean, we're both step parents, so we kind of.
Oh yeah.
We both.
So you know the struggle. Then.
Absolutely. We have 6 kids in my household.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, totally understand.
Yeah.
3 step kids and then 3 biological for myself.
Yep.
So like, get it.
Yeah, I have 4 kids and 2 step and two
Right.
kids that came out of my schnuts.
There you go.
Which was nice. But I got 2 great step kids, so they're little people.
Mine's a monster, but I love her. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for her to Lizzie Borden my ass one night. So I'm okay with it though because I'm sure it's done with love.
Yeah. Probably, yeah.
She's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
It's your time to go.
Yeah. Hey, can't fight fate.
I had an interesting question I wanted to ask you guys. I gotta find it on here. Where is it? Is it this one? Google says. Oh no, that's not it. That's a fucking different thing. Sorry, guys. Well, let's talk about this. Do you guys see that that Beyonce did the opposite of Kanye, and instead of getting dropped by Adidas, she dropped Adidas?
No, I didn't see
That's
that.
pretty crazy.
Isn't that what Kanye tried to do in the first place?
I think they would not get rid of him because he made so much money for him, and then
Yeah, he makes millions of dollars.
he's like, let me get canceled. So that
Yeah. I mean, that's how it works.
well, he's working with him again now, and that we've talked about.
Because he has to.
Yeah.
Because they have so much fucking merchandise that they can't offload because they have to use his name. Because what?
He's the
Kanye's
reason
great.
why they made the money.
Yeah.
He literally is. And then it also doesn't hurt that this has been killing up the news lately. These Barbie things, and I made a couple for
I have
us.
seen that all over the place, and it cracks me up every time.
Yeah, I made this one for my character, and then there's one for Courtney. She thinks she's a witch. And this Ken will take your pills while you're sleeping, and then obviously this Ken's here so he doesn't get fined.
Yeah.
I looked at this photo, I was like, this is the perfect photo to use because you just like, what the fuck are you making me do here?
I showed a picture like whatever you posted on that. I said, that's the show I'm going to be on. Everyone looked at me and said, okay, enjoy your Bud Light.
Should have
No,
seen this picture and been like, this is the picture. This is the picture. Actually, I'm going to be on there with her. Like, I sent this to my son. I was like, would you smash? He's like, I know who Dylan is. You can't get me. I'm like, she's a trap.
Yeah, it still works.
Yeah, I mean, the femination surgery, it seems like it worked out pretty well. Like, definitely. I do think the Dylan's body is way too wispy. You know what I mean? Like, just too thin, you know?
Yeah.
Dylan's going to need to get a BBL first.
I mean, Dylan just needs to get a black dude, thicken her up and shit, and then be all right.
That's true.
Look,
Dylan doesn't need enough.
she
Dylan
just
is
needs some cornbread.
rail thin.
And don't we all, though, really?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. That fixed the world. Cornbread and beer. We'll be all right.
Did you guys, I don't know if you saw this one. This was insane. Did you guys see the trans woman left sobbing in JFK airport after TSA agent hit her testicles? Report. This actually happened. This isn't a fake thing. So let me preface the story real quick, explain what happened. The trans woman goes through that little circle. You guys been through the airport?
Yeah,
TSA?
where they gotta
You go through
stand
the little
there.
circle and it goes around you like that. And then if it sees anything, you step aside and they have to check you. So what had happened was this trans woman went through. They saw there was a mysterious package in the nether regions.
Okay.
So they brought her over to be checked. They brought a female, very, very passing trans woman, obviously, because they brought a female officer to come over and check her. And when the female officer was checking her, not knowing there was a penis involved, hit her in the balls. And then she was upset that she got hit in the balls. And then the TSA agent flipped out because she was like, what the hell? Like, why didn't you tell somebody? And she was like, well, I didn't really know what was going on. So they were both like kind of, and this is like another one of those, I know we talked about this before the podcast, but it's another one of those weird consent issues where I'm like, they brought a female officer because of the fact that they were expecting not to be a penis and there was a penis. And it's like, who do you get to do that? Because what if the woman doesn't consent to checking a penis? You know what I mean? The reason why we have female officers to check the females and the male officers is because of the genitalia. That's literally the reason we do it. That's the only reason, is because of what genitals you have. It has nothing to do with your gender. It has to do with your genitals, because it's inappropriate for a female officer to have to touch a dick area, and it's inappropriate for a male officer to be touching some girl's vagina without their consent. So the way that we as a society has set up is that we have the females check the females, the males check the males. In this case, this officer hit this trans woman in the balls, hurt her. She ran to the bathroom, and then when she was in the stall crying, the officer came in with another friend freaking out, pissed off that she just touched a penis without her consent. And they both have, to me, at this point and at this angle, in my opinion, they both have valid arguments at each other. What's your take on this, Jordan? I don't know.
So would it be normal if the female officer just hit a lady in her pussy?
I think it wouldn't hurt as much.
Is that just normal practice?
Well, I don't think you would, because they're...
Why is she hitting people?
She's probably going up to reach up to check, and then there's something a little farther down than what you would think.
I mean, but if it hurt that much, like, she has to be using enough force. That
well, no. Sometimes you can just do a little flick, and that'd be enough.
If you're, it's just consent. Yeah, if I'm doing this up the leg of a person, and you expect to get to a point where you can go high enough that you're not going to hit something, if you don't know that person has a penis, you wouldn't stop as soon as you should. Does that make sense? Because you got balls.
Not to mention if she's reaching up there and she's like, and then all of a sudden, what the, I mean, it could have been a knee jerk reaction,
which is what happened.
If I accidentally grabbed a dick, I'm probably gonna swat away real quick and say, what the fuck? What's going on here?
Unless you know there's a dick there.
Maybe.
If I know it's a dick, then I'm gonna spit in my hand and go to town. I mean,
a Bud Light kicking in.
Hey, I haven't even opened it yet.
Consent is consent, yeah. Like, if I know, like, I'm all for it. But, like, at the same time, like, I'm still, like, is she doing this with the amount of force that she can hurt somebody in the first place?
Have you ever been pat down?
Yeah.
Do you know how they like kind of hit you almost sometimes?
I mean, yeah.
Like they like pat you. If you don't know there's a dick there, and you're like, I just accidentally just kind of tagged myself on accident just doing this.
Yeah.
And I know there's a dick there, and I still did it. If you don't know there's a dick, I don't think it's that unreasonable to hit some balls on accident, because I just hit mine on accident.
Not to mention that this is probably, although real, it's clickbait, and it's, hey, look at me on both sides of this.
They definitely posted it, but like what had sparked this was an online debate on TikTok. The trans woman posted a TikTok basically upset because she felt like she was discriminated against, or felt like she was being othered at the airport. But like from my perspective and understanding both sides and seeing it kind of there, because I can understand completely how this trans person would feel like they were mistreated. Yeah. Because they got literally hit in the balls while they're supposed to be getting checked, and they didn't know they were going to get checked in the first place. And then all of a sudden, she goes to the restroom, she's crying, and then she has to listen to the officer in the other room, in the bathroom, freaking out because she just touched a penis.
That's the part I'm most upset about, honestly, is that the officer is like just freaking out because you touched a penis or whatever. Yeah. Bro, it's your job to just literally pat people down, check them.
Yeah.
Like it's segregated though.
That's stupid.
It's not stupid for a female not to have to touch a dick if she doesn't want to, though.
I'm not asking. I'm not telling you have to touch a dick. When you're patting somebody down or being security, you're not even really supposed to be touching people's genitalia like that in the first place. Like understanding that people pack shit in their ass and whatnot. I get that, but like.
You're good.
I don't know. If you're a security guard, that is your job. It's out in the open. It's okay for you to pat.
Yeah.
I think that it shouldn't matter, man or woman, if it's open area and it's publicly seen. Yeah. Now, if you're taken back somewhere, maybe that's a different story.
Well,
God, I hate how much I agree with that.
Yeah. It's an agreeing thing.
At first, I thought I was going to solely disagree with everything you were saying. Then I thought, no, that. In open public, you're getting patted down.
Yeah. Devil's advocate, because that's my job here. My devil's advocate, though, is that the reason why the female officers and the male officers get called is for the gender of the suspected gender of the person, obviously based probably mostly on appearance, because they don't ask. I think this would have been really helpful if they'd have been like, what's your gender? But I feel like at that point they have to basically ask like, what's your genitals, which isn't a fair question either. So I feel like it does puts it in a very awkward situation for both sides. And I think for me, I can honestly see both sides of this, because I can understand how if I got turkey tapped in a fucking airport, I'd be pissed off too, period, regardless.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I'm a female officer and I'm told in my job description, your job, you do not have to touch any dicks. Your job is to check females for things. And then you get there and you touch a dick. I mean, it might upset you. And I think that you have the right to be upset if you do something without your consent like that anyway. But, TSA only exists to, violate our amendment rights, so it doesn't matter.
Maybe we just need more gender neutral people out in the world doing certain things like this for these certain situations.
But
I know that caveats things more.
Yeah.
But it maybe convolutes things.
But if
more.
you're a gender neutral person, or if you're like a non-binary person and you get hired at the airport, then it still kind of goes back to the first thing, which is I said people would have to identify who they are. And then if you're a trans woman and you just want to identify, I don't want to have to say I'm anything other than a woman, then it creates another, And that's where I feel like the social contract, we have so many things in society that we have categorized by male and female, that like the hardest thing with the hardest thing in general with the trans issue, even if you're 100% on board with it, is trying to navigate the way we have already structured society and restructure. And I think in a lot of ways we need to have the blessing from trans people to understand that this is the reason why we're restructuring, is to be more accommodating. You can't be mad if we ask if you're trans. Like that's where I feel like you have to be okay with it. And then obviously if this trans woman had top bottom surgery and didn't have, this wouldn't be an issue in the first place. But because there's a dick involved, I think at the end of the day, this trans woman should be like, damn, I'm passing as fuck because they call it the female officer over. I'm fucking killing it out here. I'm trapped, motherfucker.
Hey, yo, this Budweiser is going straight.
You going?
Me. Yeah.
Do your thing, baby. All right.
have to go find a gender neutral bathroom.
He said you can't hear him. He's not on thing. He said he has to go find the gender neutral bathroom. Yeah, I love having one of my favorite things about doing the podcast and stuff with Jordan and kind of is he and I come from such different places, and he has a very unique like living experience.
Yeah,
that like it really helps because we had, the funny thing is that this is a little side thing, but we had a little debate in our like group chat where we were kind of talking about this Bud Light. I think it was the Bud Light issue. We were talking a little bit about it, and my argument for it isn't that I don't care who they get as a spokesperson for a beer. It's a fucking beer. I'm not gonna drink it regardless.
Right.
But like at the end of the day, like my thing is like if you buy the beer or you don't buy the beer because of a spokesperson or because of an issue like this, I feel like the corporation kind of has you by the balls. They're deciding what you have based on that.
We were talking about it at work too.
Yeah.
Because what I would say, I'm probably fairly conservative.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel conservative.
I feel it.
And I do have different opinions, and that's fine. I try to be respectful of people.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the Bud Light thing, we're talking, we're talking shit because it's funny. I don't care. I will make a joke at somebody's expense, but I don't mean it hurtful.
Yeah.
And I said, for a company to completely negate their demographic,
existing clientele,
is kind of crazy. The only way I would support it is if they looked at us and said, "Yeah, fuck you. It's our business. That's what we want to do." Then I would. Then it makes it all good. It's
which is what I think. I think that's one of the things that I do. To me, if it wasn't a popular thing, they wouldn't do it because, like, so like a lot of the argument, like I was talking about a little bit how you and I were conversating, and I like that you and I have differences of opinion on a lot of these things because I think it helps us kind of understand each other a little bit more, and it bridges that gap a little bit. And if I was in a group with all people that agreed with me, then that would just be an echo chamber, and I might as well just be in there by myself.
Right.
So I enjoy being around people that have different perspectives, different outlooks, and have different like lived experiences that have informed there. Because like I'm never gonna know what it's like to grow up as a black man and be marginalized. So when he's talking about a marginalized community, I have to listen. I did take a little bit issue with this being like Dylan's not marginalized. Dylan's making millions and millions of dollars and has one of the largest platforms on TikToks right now. So I'm like, the idea of the word marginalized means like insignificant, and Dylan is the opposite of insignificant in my opinion. Now the community, people can probably say marginalized, but I also don't feel so much like the community's marginalized in the space that we're operating in. On TikTok, you can say anything you want. Trans people are not marginalized on TikTok. They're elevated. No. They are put in the forefront, and the next generation. And at what point does a group go from, it's a really nuanced question, but at what point does a group go from being marginalized to being fully accepted? And do we ever really get to that point, or will they always consider themselves marginalized in order to like kind of get there is points involved in this. There is like that person's marginalized, so that's why it's, I want to support. And we all kind of want to help people that have been downtrodden. But at what point do they get to the point where they're no longer marginalized and seen as like just accepted in society. And I feel like we're so fucking close to it already. Even though there's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be motherfuckers that suck. But I think once corporations start overly acknowledging, once every corporation has a trans or a gay spokesperson or a black spokesperson, or once everybody is represented, at what point does marginalization no longer exist?
I don't think it ever doesn't.
Yeah.
People are marginalized because obviously there's social issues. There's definitely atrocities that happen to every. It doesn't matter. You can insert whatever group, political, musical, like anything you have. There's haters.
Yeah.
And haters are always going to be louder than supporters.
Of course. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And negative always hits harder than positive.
Mm-hmm.
You could walk in to your comedy show and you have 100 people laughing, but one guy sitting out there going, "Fuck you." You're going to go home and remember the negative over the positive always.
It's evolutionary. Yep.
And there's always people that just don't like you for some fucking dumb reason.
Yeah.
I wish people could just ignore that shit. I get knocked on for a lot of shit. I'm a big guy here. I am shoehorned into your little bitty fucking chair here. You know what I mean? There's people on your show going, "That fat fucker can't fit." Fuck them. You guys are cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hate people feeling like they're marginalized, because I guarantee you that if you stop listening to that hateful ass shit, you're going to find 10 times as many people saying, "Hey man, come over here and hang out."
Yeah. I think you're completely right. I think it's okay. I think when it becomes an issue is when it's in like obviously government institutions. That can't happen. That's not supposed to happen. Certain businesses, like obviously we don't want people at all to be discriminated against. And I think that's partially, Bud Light reached out to Dylan because they're like, Dylan's a fucking hit. People love Dylan. I know people that are kind of on the opposite side of the trans debate and think that there's some issues with that we need to work out as a society, which I think we all kind of can agree with that. But like, I know people that are not pro-trans in their head, but they love Dylan because Dylan's a positive person. Dylan doesn't come out there and be like, "Fuck you if you don't like," Dylan's just Dylan, who is who she is, and is just a happy person. And I think having that type of representative is helpful in general, but it also, people are going to be mad.
I know. I didn't know anything about Dylan before nothing.
Holy shit.
I
did not know a single thing about Dylan.
That's crazy.
That's why when originally I sent the link to the group, I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool," because it's her first year of rebirth. Yeah. That's really cool. And Bud Light was just like, "Yo, let's send her a package."
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And then like it kind of sparked in a debate with whether like corporations, whether they're doing this for good reasons or doing this for ill-gotten reasons.
All about money.
I think it's all one and the same.
Yeah.
It seemed like this was an act of, just something really good. Plus, Dylan's getting her bag right now.
Yeah.
And, like, I ain't mad at that. Yeah. Like, get your money, girl. Like, like for real.
We both agreed on that. We said because I was explaining and we had a little debate in the group chat because like my issue isn't that Dylan is the spokesperson. I'm okay with that. Obviously, or not even need to be okay with that. That's cool. I don't drink beer. I don't care. Yeah. And then you can have whoever you want to be a spokesperson. That's kind of the beauty of capitalism in a way, is that you go, if you don't make money off of it, fine. If you do, good. But my issue is the corporate side of like being. I feel like these corporations lately have been playing, like the M&Ms, all this, are playing on people's emotions in a way where they're like, oh, there's people mad about this. Okay, we're gonna double down and it's like now I'm supposed to, now buying M&Ms or buying a Bud Light is supposed to be an act of social justice. Fuck every corporation that thinks that me buying if I'm giving them money to spend on their corporation, it's not like it's going to help trans people. It's not going to help gay people. It's literally going to $1 billion company. And that was my argument when we were talking about it, was like, this is $1 billion company, like basically cucking us all out, making us feel like, at least both sides, because they're cucking the people that are like, "Oh, I'm never drinking a Bud Light again." Like, shut the fuck up. Nobody cares. Right. But also like people that are like, "Well, I got to buy a beer now because I want to support it." I'm like, you're not really supporting it because
you're just
like,
giving these cocksuckers money.
You're just giving them money.
I think this is where this debate started is because like I was like, "Oh, I'm going to go home, have a Bud Light just because of this," right? And like I think Jordan took it as like, "Oh, he's gonna go just buy." Swear to God, I wrote that out and was ready to send it before you sent this, because you sent the first thing and then I was writing it and then you sent that. I guess I'm gonna have a beer. I was still writing
So I already had my before, and then it looked like I was attacking you, and I'm like, fuck. All right, I didn't think you were gonna say that. Like I didn't think you were gonna be like, I'm gonna go home and have a beer. But like also, it's kind of on brand. You're like a super ally, obviously.
Look, all right. Not to put my own business out there, but I'm raising a trans son in this world, and Indiana's kind of making that a lot harder, especially as of yesterday or whatever. Because like right now I'm worried about like whether I'm going to be able to make sure that he has his medicine that he needs to continue transitioning.
Your son,
things like that.
For argument's sake, how old is your son?
He is 16.
So
15. I'm
15,
sorry.
16. So, but either way, like protesters have gathered outside Indiana State House to oppose SB480, which would ban transgender care to Hoosiers under 18. The House Public Health Committee is hearing the bill today. I want to put that out so people can understand what you're talking about. Go ahead.
That passed. It's kind of freaked out my household. And I don't know, anyone that knows me or knows this transition thing has not been like an overnight thing. It didn't just start yesterday. You know, my son has known who he is for a long time now. And I've always been very accepting of that. And, you know, and very defensive of people who, you know, say anything other than that, because look, I raise men, right? And you can't tell me any different than that because all three of my boys are biological boys, and even my stepsons and daughter, you know, they're gonna raise them to be the best humans out there, but my men gonna raise them to be men, you know. So like,
to me though, like there's I feel like with what's going on with you and in your situation in general is a lot of the people who are obsessed with this are obsessed with the underage aspect of it.
I was gonna say it's interesting. As I had heard you talk about this.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I don't listen to every single episode.
No, you're good.
But I heard that about you
on the podcast.
On the podcast, you were talking about it, and I was just telling him I'm fairly heavily conservative. I really am. And I thought it would be neat to have a conversation with you and see your thoughts on all this, because mine is different. I mean, I'm not even gonna lie.
But
I also respect.
There's some stuff though, like experience stuff that Jordan has
right,
gone through,
and
or maybe
to
he
get
could like
that idea about
it,
because we had a big talk on our show about the they them situation.
Okay.
And my stance is, man, it's up to you what you do. Like I'll respect. I'll try my best. I can't translate the language. I'm not very good at that shit. I'm sorry. Hard. If you look like a girl, she is the way I'm thinking of you. So, and I haven't a lot of questions about the under the 18. I really, I'm concerned about the thought of that.
Yeah, here's my perspective on it, and it gets a little dicey. Not because like I'm 100% supportive of your son and everything, and everything that he's gone through, and I know none of this has been easy whatsoever for him. And coming to terms with your gender identity when it's not the one you were assigned at birth in general has to be fucking daunting.
Yeah, I can't imagine how crazy that is for. And I'm sorry,
crazy is a bad word, but
to male.
Well, no, it's a lot. And crazy, crazy is an okay word. I'm not worried because like. Trans people aren't crazy.
No,
the situations that like that like I think that we put people in is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like you know, the whole like we'll go back to they them, right? That transition in speaking with people became really easy for me just personally because I stopped looking at, you know, Jordan as this dude or seeing you're some dude. It's just a person.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So it's not different. Like, hey, y'all over there, they whatever. It's okay. Like I don't think I'm demasculating you if by saying that or any say or
but to be
over
fair, there are some
you.
trans people that they get upset if you call them they, because I am a he, I am a she. And I've done everything I need to do to get there. See, to me, it is. I think what ends up getting lost in the debate, or the conversation, if you want to call it the conversation and not a debate, because I don't think it should necessarily be a debate as far as how people want to. I think the kids thing is rough for people, obviously,
it is
because you're talking about a medical industry that like it's profiting off of the back of trans people, and the fact that there's anybody who has detransition tells you that they can make a mistake.
Yeah.
And to me, an entire system that makes money. My thing, and it comes back to the money again. Like the corporation, a medical institution has a vested interest monetarily in saying yes, you're trans, because now I can do the surgeries, give you medicines, do all the things. So to me, that's where I feel like that's why I get frustrated with the kid thing, not because I don't believe I believe your son 100%, like 1,000%. I believe your son, because your son is a reputable person. I don't think your son's being manipulated by anybody in your household.
Don't get me wrong. Like there's kids in this community, that people out there that I've seen that like I just kind of think sometimes you are confused. You don't know if you really are transgender or what you are, and that's okay, right? Like it took me. I'm 36 years old, and it's taken me this long to kind of even fathom what I am as a whole. Like, you know,
and I think that's where that's
so like
that's exactly I know, and that's the hardest part about it, I think.
So like I'm not advocating for putting kids on medicine as a whole at all. My situation with my son, like we laid out all the things, and you know, I send him to doctors, to therapists.
That you trust.
We trust. I've asked every single question that I possibly could. Hey, is this safe? You know, are we doing the right thing? Honestly, I've watched this kid go from the shell of a person that, like, you know, wasn't sure who he was, wasn't sure what he was in any sense, to actually becoming this person that is blossoming and, you know, really finding his own identity and being comfortable with it now. So that's made this whole transition the easier for me, because, you know, my dude takes it like a G, and he like, this is like he has always had understanding, and like what's helped is that, like, he can always come and talk to me. He's always been able to come and talk to me. You know, he came to me when he was really young and was like, hey, this is how I feel.
Did you push back at all? I've always wanted to ask that question.
Yeah, I have
Did you
many
push back at all,
man.
or was it? Because I do feel like there's a little this is just me on the outside. Obviously, I don't have any inside opinion, and this isn't even about Ace at all, like your son at all. This is about, like, in general. I wonder sometimes when a parent is completely accepting that if a kid who is now identifying as trans comes to their parents and says, I think I might be dysphoric and I'm having this issue, if you say, oh yeah, that's okay, that's perfect, like, I feel like there might be a little bit of
I'm not
too
gonna
much
lie.
encouraging.
I'm not gonna lie. I when he came to me, like, I knew something was wrong already. Had known something was wrong because my kid just felt off. And then he came to me, and I did not understand. I did not have the understanding that I have now. Right. But it's my first words were, okay, bro. Cool.
I love that. That's the most Jordan response ever.
That's
okay, bro.
awesome. But I think he has a point, though.
But I still, like, in that still, like, I still had to learn a lot. And all right, well, you know, pronouns, like learning that shit for a while and fucking up, and then you know, understanding that every time, like, I say something like that, it's kind of affecting him. You know, those sort of things, like, kind of like that. Being aware and being, like, cognizant, because for the longest time it was just me and him. Being aware and being cognizant was helpful of that. I didn't push him towards any.
I don't believe.
No, I was actually going the other way with that.
Yeah, and I don't think he pushed me towards any of this. Like, you know, we've met this natural, like, transition towards these things. And
I guess my fear about, like, let's say tomorrow my son came to me and said, hey, listen, I think I'm dysphoric. I might be non-binary, or I might be your daughter now, or you know what I mean, whatever. My first question would be like, or my first fear would be like, if I've never had to validate him as a man. You know what I mean? Do you know? See, I think that's where I'm fearful a little bit of parents that are like, I'm a little fearful of the parents that validate immediately, or the parents that don't validate immediately.
Right. I think it's
hard to make that decision there, because I feel like if you start to validate your kid, that might be the first time your kid's ever been validated in any gender, because we don't. It's like our kids are born like they're, if you want to say cisgender, they're assigned gender at birth based upon their genitals usually and their chromosomes, and then from there on you go through life, and it's not like you have a constant party like, oh my God, you're still a little girl. Some people, or oh my God, you're still a little boy, or But I think it might, once you get that positive reinforcement, I just always feel like we have to give them, and your son's obviously been trans for many years and is steadfast in his identity, and I believe 1,000% in his identity, and there's no way that I would ever believe differently. But I do worry a lot with parents nowadays with acceptance, that you might accept your kids they could just be confused. You know what I mean? At that point.
I mean, my son wants to be a star catcher, and I'm like, dude, you can't you can't move.
You can't catch the fucking
ball.
ball.
And I'm not trying to demean this by any stretch.
No.
But I mean, sometimes you have to tell your kids,
yeah,
you're reaching for try, do what you got to do, put the work in, but a little dose of reality.
Pushback.
A little pushback, just to say, I do that on everything with my kid. I want to do this. All right, well then, I don't think you can, so do this. Some of that is to make him try, or make her, because I got, I got 3 kids. I'm not I'm supportive. I'll let you try anything you want to try.
Yeah.
My kids know that number one rule is, if you're going to be dumb, you better be tough. You want to try and do a wheelie with your bike? Go right ahead. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to say, you probably ought not do that. But when you bust your ass 15 times, then when you learn how to ride a wheelie, so I take these little completely fundamentals, then you take it onto a big thing like changing your entire gender. I worry that there wasn't enough. All right, well, you're going to have to earn it then.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying with you personally or anybody
Yeah.
I have the similar parenting style to you.
Yeah.
Like I'm a very, you can do that shit, but it's kind of stupid, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and learn for yourself. If I tell you, hey, like
Christopher Titus style.
Yeah. Like, bro, you going to learn somehow. You either going to listen or you going to find out.
Yeah.
Right? So like,
and this didn't happen overnight. Like
no.
the medical intervention.
From the little bit I've got, I can tell that this isn't like something you're not just woke up in 2023 and said, "Oh yeah, finally."
Jordan wasn't like, "Yes, I got a trans son."
No,
there was nothing like that.
I saw it on TMZ once, and I was like, this will make my family famous.
That'll be cool to try.
Yeah. And I was just like, hey, you're a dude now.
No.
Like,
I get it.
No, it's not like
Yeah.
that. Like it. And like I know everybody's situation is different.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I've seen kids, or I've seen people, and and I say kids because having
a trans kid, you see
trans son.
Kids,
you see people in the LGBT community. My son goes to pride events around here.
Yeah.
Things like that.
active in it.
Yeah. I see people that like he's associated with, or like even that he's like said something to me about, and like we both agreed. Like, I think those people, like sometimes you can tell that these people aren't committed like like that. Like they are trying to find an identity. They're trying to be this identity.
They think they have to do that to be their friend.
Yeah,
like to have a friend group.
And like I don't know how to police the whole world. I know how to but I know how to take care of my situation and my kid. And like I know that like not anyone out there has to agree with how like I'm raising him, or like or anything. But I'm doing the best I can.
This sounds wild, but what's the age of consent in Indiana? Isn't it like 15 or 16 anyway?
Yeah.
See, my thing is, if we're gonna have an age of consent, that should be the age of consent.
Yeah.
So like, I think if we were fair, like along the whole board, I think banning transgender care to Hoosiers under 18. Banning is a fun thing to do. I hate banning of anything. I think that's fucked up. But I do think the kids, we all know that out of every class of human, kids are the most protected class because they're kids.
Yeah.
They can't
and you should protect kids.
So people should care.
Absolutely.
People should care. And I honestly believe that people should give a fuck about all the kids and everything. But if you just, if I come up to you and I say, so how do you feel about transgender people? I hate transgender people. What do you think about transgender kids? I hate the idea of transgender kids. I don't care about your identity, or your thoughts on transgender kids, because you hate transgender people in general. But if you're coming from an honest place of like, I want to make sure that these institutions aren't coming through and violating like these kids for money, and that's what scares me. And then some parents, I'm sure we've all known parents that I personally know parents that would do anything to get attention.
Yeah. I know more people like that, and that's why talking to you, you can see it, you can hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
That this isn't about you.
Yeah,
this
not
isn't.
at all.
It's just the way you say it. You can tell this is the life you're living.
I don't even like talking about it, to be honest. Like, I really don't.
I think it's important that people know. I mean, as much as like obviously like this wasn't on purpose. This wasn't at all. But there is a lot of this. This is. I mean, we're dealing with a lot with Indiana. This is a serious issue, and I mean, people. There are. I mean, you can call them kids or whatever, but a 16-year-old little boy who's on TRT right now, if they can't get it, it's going to fuck their body up even more. So, like, my issue here isn't necessarily that I don't think that some of the people that are concerned about these kids aren't legitimate and they don't have legitimate concerns. My issue here is like, what do you know the damage you could be doing from doing this by not like phasing it in, or at least having like an honest conversation? Because my issue is you can have a shitty parent. We all know there are shitty parents exist. We all know that. We all know, and
I had two.
Yeah. We all know shitty parents exist, and we all know that confused kids exist. That might grow out of it and might just be gay, and then or straight or whatever. It might just be a tom girl or a tomboy. But we also know is there a tom girl? I don't know. But there's also a group of people that are making money off of it, and I just feel like there needs to be, out of this triangle of people, there needs to be a fourth, and it's an independent body of some sort. And I hate saying we need a government independent body, but honestly, what we kind of need is an independent. Almost like it sounds fucking crazy, and I know this might not be the right answer. This is just me spitballing ideas, but almost like a child protective services type of situation where like not them, but like a version of it that goes in and talks to these kids and does like a counseling that's separate from the healthcare that's supposed to be skeptical. I would love for there to be a skeptical person that wants to push back against, but a lot of times it's like affirming, and that's why I hate the word affirming care, because like you shouldn't affirm anybody anything ever. I don't
know if this helps, but in my situation, even before seeing the actual doctor, to do the things that we are doing, had to be seen by therapists, had to be seen by people who could actually diagnose the things that my son was going through.
Have you seen any of the things that have popped up? Sorry, I'm not trying to, but have you seen any of the things that popped up where there are therapists that have posted online, if you are dysphoric and you cannot get this, I will send you. And I feel like that's where
that's
issue
predatory.
Is. Now, that's predatory.
I steered
I know that you did the right
completely
thing.
away from that. Actually, our general physician was actually the person that like recommended a route for us to go, and that was our primary care provider. Yeah. So like, it's not like that in this case. I know, but I know bullshit's out there, and like we do need to protect everyone. We need to protect everyone from being preyed on in this sort of way. Like if be your most self. I don't care who you are. Like child on up, I want you to be your most self. Yeah. But I don't want people to prey on you for this or to push you towards these things. And that's super fucking important. Yeah. Is that you have to have a level of perspective in these things. And like I know that like even like people like on the right or whatever, far right or whatever, can be like, how can this dude like talk about perspective when you're talking about transgenderness? Person. This is a person, and at the end of the day, this person is this person, right? However they present themselves. Yeah. And it's not for you to say that you don't like it, and no one gives a fuck. Yeah. It's for them to continue living their fucking life, because you gotta find a way to live your fucking life in this horrible fucking life.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. I agree with that completely. It's a body modification at the end of the day, and I had to wait till I was 18 to get tattoos. I had to wait till they'll pierce your ear. I feel
like there's an overcorrection going on right now.
So like I would say that like I do have mad hesitation from alteration surgeries from the sense of a minor, and that's nothing that like my son has done yet, nothing that we're looking towards yet, and
not that you owe anybody an explanation, but
you don't have to explain. I just
like that. Like those are things that like we've talked about. Like, hey, when we hit this point, then I'll do everything I can to help you do those things. But we got to hit this point. So like it's all right. Hey, we're gonna do this.
He's so lucky to have you. He's just lucky to have you in general.
Trying.
Like, honestly, I mean I've seen it. Like full disclosure, like I met Ace before. I met your son before, but I've only really known your son as your son. Like I met before a couple times, not serious. Didn't even know the dead name at all, like whatsoever. And then once you told, you kind of like, hey man, just so you know, this is what's going on, and kind of, we were friends. So you told me a little bit about what's going on. I'm like, hell yeah, man. I as long as everything, and I think I might even said something to you. Are you making sure that you push? Because I'm the type of person where I'm like, I want everybody to be who they are at the end of the day, but I'm also, I want. If you don't ask every question, you might not hit the right one, even at the end of the day. And I feel like it's important for people to ask questions and to care about kids and to do these things. But we really have to be honest with the fact that if you can consent at, in the state of Indiana at 15, 16, some states there's 14 years old. And then like Kentucky or Tennessee, I think are 14 years old. And they just did a ban. And I'm like, hold on, you're saying that kid can have sex, but but a kid can't choose its gender. And I feel like we have to come up with a national idea of this is the age of consent. And the age of consent is across the board, because it kind of goes back even to the cigarette thing that drives me fucking crazy. How can you consent?
We could change subjects.
How can you consent to sex? How you can consent to being in the military? How you can consent to changing your gender? How can you consent to any of these things before you can consent to having a cigarette or drinking a beer? It makes no sense. And I feel like I don't want them to kick the can to 21 and then fuck these kids even more.
That's what I worry too. Is that sometimes like it's really stupid. We do tell these kids, hey, you can't drink or smoke till you're 21 now, because we pushed everything back. But these other things you can do, I don't understand the difference in them. Like
I think it should be the same age, one way or the other.
Absolutely. Like 18 has always been a point. Yeah. And now I understand we can't measure maturity. Because if we could, then maybe that would
if there was a gauge to say they're serious, I get it.
Yeah, but we can't do that. We the only thing that we can hope is that in almost 2 decades of learning that you've been figured out some shit.
I know 60-year-olds ain't mature. So.
Yep.
No, I mean, I think setting an age is really hard to do in general, just because like what the fuck is an age? Like you said, a maturity can happen at any age. Yeah. And I mean, you can have somebody who has a mental handicap that can be 18 and not be mature, or be 21 or be 50 and not mature, or you know what I mean, just because they don't have the capacity. And to me, at the end of the day, when it comes to like kids, like obviously we can't pretend like everybody is the same. Right. Pretending like we need to make a rule for everybody, but as a society and the way we like organize ourselves, that's the way we do it, and how we've always done it is based on age. Like there's been conversations like in certain countries, like I lived in Italy for a minute. I don't know if you guys have heard, but I lived in Italy every time I have to like make myself feel cool. Yeah. But you lived in Germany.
I lived in Germany.
Oh, you guys are both cool.
We're both ex-military. So.
I'll just sit here then and
just be an American.
I've been to Kokomo.
I've been to Kokomo from Roosevelt. I've been to Russia.
I don't know if it's a flex that we were in countries that were part of the Axis.
Yeah.
Hey, you were there. Something.
We were there, high five. No, but in general, like when you're there, like in the country of Italy, like you can drink almost at any age, and you can't drive till you're 18. And to me, it's like they don't have as many DUIs or OWIs over there because you've been drinking before you were driving. Yeah. So you kind of know that you're impaired. The problem now is like you start driving and then you're drinking like, I can fucking handle it, bro. I'll be fine. And the next thing you know, you've killed a mother of 2. You know what I mean? And it's like we know as people, it's like what's the I think is it the abortion thing where it's like, or what is it? I don't know it, but I know it when I see it. Like is that the abortion thing where it's like
child porn? It is.
Oh, fuck.
Is that the quote?
Yeah.
Oh, God,
Is that the quote?
I don't know. Yeah,
I think you might be right.
I am
think,
right.
I think
Like
you might be
that
right.
quote is for.
Oh,
I can't. Yeah,
It's like I don't know, or I don't know what
I can't define it, but I know it when I see it.
Yeah, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. I feel like it's like an old quote, but like it's the same with a person who's mature. You can't define maturity, but you know it when you see it.
Yeah.
And I feel like as long as like it honestly, and let me say this just as a person, if every parent was as attentive as you are with your son, I would have no issue with letting a kid transition at fucking 12, because I would know for sure that parent has turned every stone, done everything that needs to be done, cares enough for their kids. But I also know through experience that a lot of parents do not give a fuck about their kids,
about anything, let alone something as big as this.
and they could be like, "Oh, this is a come up. I get attention now."
Well, that's right.
Me.
I know so many parents that have been like, "Oh, well, this is just a phase," sort of thing.
Yeah,
and like,
and it could be, but
in some of those kids' case, I think maybe it is.
I think I might have said something similar to you when you first told me, which I was worried about.
Yeah, but in I'd be crazy if I said that I didn't like think that when when it was first presented. Maybe this is just a phase sort of thing. Yeah, but it's not.
It's not.
I let a lot of time pass. Like,
damn, this phase is going.
Yeah, like it. There came a point where I was just. It's definitely not a phase. It is definitely not something that's gonna go away. And if I tell this I don't like it, that it'll just change. It's not how this shit works. Yeah. And
I think your son's lucky to have you. And honestly, I think if most parents were like you, I would 100% just be all about affirming care.
Thank you.
It does scare the fuck out of me that because I mean, as much as I'm the type of person that when I hear about something and I'm like, this is interesting, I dive in. That's why I knew about Dylan. That's why I know about Jazz. That's why I know about a lot of like Marsh. What's his name? Her name. Their name. Sorry, Jeffrey Marsh is a big trans TikToker. I've learned a lot from all this and kind of being but I've also went to the other side because I'm like, honestly, you can't be informed if you look at one side. That's the way things are. Even if you think the other side's bigoted or trans or whatever, you still have to go over there and say, what are they saying? What are their arguments? Because they might have a good fucking argument. I need to hear it. And the best argument I've heard is the medical thing. And it honestly, when I heard it like my heart sank because I'm like, I know how institutions are. We all know how fucking institutions are. If an institution is going to make money off something, they're going to affirm it. That's the way it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then push it in every single way they can.
And then the other thing is the detrans community, which I think March 13th was Detransition Day of Visibility, which is like a big day for people who have detransitioned. And I've watched a few stories of people who have detransitioned, and they're heartbreaking as much as they are for people who have been. I mean, to me, it's like watching the videos where you see like a kid talking about their parent not accepting them. Yeah, it's almost as bad. It's like the same level of sadness when I watch somebody who transitioned and was affirmed, and then found out that they should not have been affirmed. They should have been pushed back more, and then they ended up like detransition is scary. And like I've seen like. I read an entire Reddit AMA on this young woman who transitioned to be a man and then detrans, and then talked about how nobody pushed back, how everybody just affirmed her in her new identity, and how like now she's like, I'm fucking bald, I'm hairy, I can't, my voice has changed, I can't, nobody wants to date me, and it's like this person wants like I'm about to put a gun in my mouth, and it's like that's the other side. It's a very rare side, and I'm not saying it's necessarily the most people. Yeah. But I'm saying the fact is we're in this weird space where we're trying to navigate something that it's so subjective to that person, and it could be momentarily even subjective. I mean, I've really fucking loved a food and then found out I didn't like it. You know what I mean? And it's like that's it's stupid. And
the third drink of that drink, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah,
man, it tasted good at first, but this is just
I love a Crown and Coke, but the last two I've had have been fucking gross. And I'm like, what is going on here? And I think that like we have to be very, very careful, society and culturally of oh yeah, okay, yeah. I think the first thing should be like, okay, sounds good. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's figure it out. Let's start. We can, let's figure out what we got to do here. Let's make sure this isn't, there is a lot of kids, and I know you've kind of alluded to it a little bit. There's a lot of kids that are trans for friendship. Like they want friends, so they're trans, and it's like they don't really like commit. I'm non-binary, or I'm a man, but I don't want to do anything, or I'm a woman, I don't want to do anything, and it's like. sometimes it feels like, that's where the social contagion thing comes in. People talk about a lot, which it is what it is.
I worry that all the time that if I'm doing this right, because like I don't see a lot of parents that are like me. I see some, but I see a lot more parents that are just like, this is a phase. Let me call my kid dead name that they don't want to respond to in the first place. Let me reaffirm that you're not this. Like I see a lot of that, and like I'm not trying to be my kid's best friend or nothing, but like at the same time, I don't want the nigga to hate me either. Like, like on some real shit. Like I just always feel like if I come to him as a person and like we like open those doors of communication and like create that strong foundation of, hey, we can have this talk, and if there's something we need to learn more about, we learn together. Yeah. And this is a process that we grow from. Yeah. I've always like, I worried for him if he ever came to the point where he was like, maybe this was all a mistake. But I think that we've approached this all with enough like baby gloves that like there's no worry that there's a mistake or there's no worry that
you're the only person I don't worry about with it. Yeah. Literally, out of all the people I know, you're the only person.
Thanks.
I know a lot of parents with kids that are trans questioning or trans who are questioning their gender, and out of all of them, I honestly believe that you're the only one that I know you've like asked the questions, you've talked, you've had the conversations, and I've met a lot of these kids, and some of them feel like they're doing it because their girlfriend's doing it or their boyfriend's doing it or whatever. And I've seen it, and I'm like, man, this isn't going to turn out okay if a drastic step is made. Yeah, you know what I mean? If you're an adult and you make a drastic step, that's fine. But if your kid makes a drastic step, that's another thing. And I also remember, I almost feel like sometimes some of the kids, it's like, I remember there were kids that were goth for a couple weeks.
Absolutely.
That's where I have such when it comes to kids, everything is so fatty anyway. Yeah. I mean,
it's hard to know. It's hard to know.
It is hard to know, and like I get why there's bills like the SB480, right? Like I don't like it because it's directly affecting my household. But I get why there are, because there's shit people out there that don't take care of their shit, that don't like look into this shit, that they see some shit off TikTok and they're like, oh yeah, let me do this.
I can make a buck off of this, or I can get some attention, or I can get my likes.
Or this looks cool and I don't know anything about it. Like, let me do it, sort of thing. It's the same same sort of thing. Like it's not the same thing, but it is the same thing as like all these BBLs and shit. Like
that's why I like
people run out and get, right. Like,
that's why I like
dangerous as fuck, could fucking kill you, but they still fucking do it. You don't really need that or anything like that, but like if it's gonna make you happy, I guess do it. But
Dylan's a little weird, like as far as like her approach to everything because of the girlhood thing, and I feel like a lot of people felt like there was some. It felt at the beginning of, I know you're kind of new to this, but the beginning of girlhood thing felt very fake. It felt like it was a troll at first. Because like in the beginning, Dylan was like, Dave, 65, being a girl, I'm frolicking, I'm doing frolic. And you're like, come on, it's what I would have done if I was doing a satirical version of it. Like if I was doing if I dressed up and was like, I'm a girl, like it's like, you're not a girl, you're already a woman, you would be of woman's age if you identify, you shouldn't be identifying as a woman or a girl. Everybody was like, that's kind of creepy. It kind of feels like fetishization of like of being a child, and Dylan, but like as it's happened, Dylan has come out and kind of been more. The only misstep I feel like Dylan has ever really had was the whole Biden gender affirming care thing for minors, because like I do feel like there needs to be an actual discussion and not just it's bigoted if you don't. I think that's a stupid thing to say, but I also feel like the other way around, if you just say all kids are the same, it doesn't make sense. But with Dylan in general, like I like Dylan. Dylan transitioned as an adult. Dylan went through the process as, and then became, I feel like, as a spokesperson or as like a leader, a visible leader in the trans community. Dylan is a good spokesperson for, and that's why I think people like Caitlyn Jenner as well, because even though she definitely killed people in her car.
That did happen.
She definitely killed a woman in her car.
Nice to slide that in there.
Let's just throw it in there. She definitely killed somebody in her car.
Yeah.
But
at the end of the common soldier.
But she transitioned as well into adulthood. So like, what'd you say?
I heard it.
I missed it.
I almost rebutted it, but I didn't want to argue with
What
you
did you
again.
say?
I said she has a lot in common with OJ.
Oh yeah. Cool white woman. Cool woman.
Yeah.
It's true.
I heard it.
That's funny. No, honestly, I'm really there's been a lot of weird stuff. I know people are fighting back on the teachers and stuff, and there's a lot of pushback there. And I actually I have this too. I thought this would be funny. This has been happening. This has been a lot happening lately. So 31-year-old Colorado woman who admits to having sex with a 13-year-old middle schooler and having his baby won't face any jail time under the plea. And then a 45-year-old cheer coach charged with rape after allegedly having sex with her daughter's 16-year-old boyfriend 300 times.
Jesus.
Grape. 31-year-old Connecticut lunch lady arrested after having sex with a 14-year-old boy and sending him nudes. That's a lunch lady? Damn. And then NYC teacher accused of sexualization with a mentally ill 16-year-old student. There's something going on in these schools. Now, I realize people, are pushing back and they're making it about trans things, but I think in general, like, just something, we need to make sure we're watching these teachers because this is popping off.
Sexual deviancy is a thing, right?
yeah.
Is it not? Like, look, I know dudes are all fucking predators and like whatever, but nah, that shit's real. I mean, I wish a teacher would have raped me back in the day, but
I was going to say, I know this is the same joke that every comedian has said for a long time.
Yeah.
I would have. There was some teachers that I would have loved, and I would have never told on you, you bitch. I would have never told. But man, when it comes, that's that.
It's a rough
bullshit too. There,
it's a double standard, but it's a double standard we all agree exists because it's a reality of it is that a young man is okay with that.
Yeah.
Whether we think society-wise it shouldn't be okay, and we try to find equality, like no, like you have to. If it's bad for a guy, it's a power issue, and that's where we get back to the power issue.
I mean, should a young man be okay with that? Like, really be okay with that? Like, do you really want your kid having sex with his teacher? Like,
no.
Do I want my kid having sex with his teacher? No.
Exactly.
But if my kid came up and said, "Dad, I got," yes, it's a little sexist. I mean, when my son comes up or daughter comes up and tells me they lost their virginity, the thought, I already know the thought process through my head is going to be different. No matter how much I'm trying to look at the world equally.
Yeah.
No matter, and if anyone says that it's not, okay, you are more evolved than I am.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm proud of you, but I am not there. I still got monkey brain up here somewhere.
No, I mean, you're cool. Look, my kid comes home, says like, "Yo, I bagged my teacher." All right, bet. So you got an A+?
You better find something out of it.
Look, that's what I'm thinking, because you better pass all that shit. I need you to get out of there, like, get a diploma, do all that shit, bro.
You did. That's because you're preparing him for the world he lives in and the world you want him in. Listen, first off, I get it, bro. I was there. Second of all, it's 2023. You better get something out of it.
Yes.
So, but my little girl, I'm going to fucking jail.
Yeah.
I promise you. And everyone says that.
Yeah, and it's the difference is power, which is that's at the end of the day, that's why everybody wants to say it's weird when people are like men and women are equal, and I'm like, yeah, we should be, yeah, in an idealistic world, but we also know that men have power over women and it physically look bigger and have muscle mass and stuff. So like when we see something like that, our first instinct is, were you coerced?
Right.
Whereas with a guy, we're like, dude, you shouldn't be doing that. Respect, but you shouldn't be doing it. Like, it's like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things that's like...
Well, I think we also assume that it came from the male, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. Is,
I suppose if my, and I hate to talk, this is bad. If my little girl grows up and I know that she's I'm going to puke, a sexual person,
Yeah.
and she's like, Dad, I'm going to fuck my teacher. Excuse me, what? What the hell did you just say? Yeah. I'm going to have an issue. But if the next year she comes, got him. I mean, it isn't different if I know
the intent, right? Like that changes things, right?
If the swim coach calls and says, "Mr. Nelson, could you get your fucking kid?" She is like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So how wrong has our society been in the sense that we don't look at that, like, and we haven't for the longest time. We haven't said, "Oh, well, did that teacher? Did she?
Yeah.
Did she go after him?" Yeah. Did that like, I know that sounds fucked up, and I'm not trying to, like,
I was just saying.
Look, I know all, look, if you're a pervert or a pedophile out there and you're listening to me and you're like, oh, he's about to make a good point, fuck you, because no, I'm not.
Yeah, there's a group out there. Fuck them.
No, what I'm asking is, it really does need to be, like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
How did this come about?
It's a post-mortem, another post-mortem. That's another one of those things where, like, I don't think that the women, if the woman initiated and the guy was coerced, but if the other way, I think it can be, I honestly think it can be both ways, but we know as a society, we have to err on the side of the victim. So in our heads, we're like, okay, we have to make sure that this didn't happen because you weren't coerced into it.
Well,
like, that's really what it is.
You know,
but coercion does go the other way. You could be seduced. Like, there's plenty of guys that would never cheat on their wife, and then all of a sudden you just have this. It's a mindset.
We could err on the side of the victim too, though, and then that's how Emmett Till happens.
True.
And
true. I mean, true. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's a bomb. Emmett Till's a bomb here. But
I know that switch.
No, you're completely right. I mean, and we have to be careful with all of
Yeah.
that. And I think that's why we do have due process. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, and I don't have a graphic for it, but the guy that was charged in the murder, or is being charged in the murder of Abby and Libby.
Yeah.
Had said he's been held in a hole, basically hasn't been able to go out of his room. If you look at pictures, he's lost a shit ton of weight. Ugh. I don't know if that's depression or what. And his lawyer is asking for him to be put in general population, or at least in an area with people.
Right.
And people, I looked at the comments, and the comments were all, no, throw him between jail, kill him, murder him. And in my head, I'm like, this is where innocent until proven guilty is super important. This
is a lynch mob.
Because I'm not necessarily, if the guy did it, fucking kill him, obviously. But we need to make sure, he needs to have his day in court. We need to know.
Honestly, we talked about that. I've talked about that with my friend.
Yeah.
That guy, as horrible as this sounds, they need to just walk in, shoot him in the head.
Yeah.
Not because I think he did it or didn't do it. His life is already ruined.
Yeah.
Those people do not care if he's the one that did it.
That's what bothers me.
He is the scapegoat.
Yeah.
He can't get away from it. It's not like it doesn't matter. Somebody could come in with a video and confess it was me. That man's life is null and void.
Yeah, it's over.
The only way, for the most humane thing for him to do and the most poetic thing for them to do to him is just kill that sumbitch now and get it over with. Those people do not care if he's the one. They just
they
want
had that
someone.
other guy, that
That's
big fat guy
so
from Galveston.
horrible, though.
Isn't it? Is it true though?
But I know that's life, and
Yeah.
like, just
Unfortunately for him, he's fucked.
Yeah.
And if he did it, he should be fucked harder. I mean, seriously. But golly.
Well, you guys saw the big guy from Galveston that got arrested first, and everybody was like, "That's him. That's definitely him."
Yeah,
then there was a guy from Kokomo that arrested. They're like, "That's him. That's definitely him." And this is the third or fourth guy.
Well, every person has been him.
Definitely.
Right. And then not to mention everybody's second cousin's Bobby. Oh, he looks just like
And anytime anybody has killed anyone else. Oh, yeah, I wonder if
we've seen that on
any
the page.
missing
Like,
body or
Yeah.
any missing person.
Yeah. Oh, you killed somebody? You probably killed them too. Like, whoa, hold on, what?
I think that's the kind of the biggest problem with our society. And it might be, like, we may be, like, a problem in that. Like, we may be the problem.
People,
like, if
coronavirus
no,
was
like,
the
I mean,
cure.
Kokomo Press.
I mean, the
Kokomo
Kokomo Press as a whole, like us, people like us, like all of us that like get on the internet and just say stuff sometimes. We're kind of the problem in that, because we've all been internet detectives, and we know everything that happened.
Everything.
You know, we've heard that video from 50,000 times to go down the hill or whatever.
That was him for sure.
Yeah, like, I've never seen these people in my life, but we do ruin people's lives in that, and like, there's a whole another problem, a whole another issue if you want to talk about, like, the idea of solitary confinement.
Oh, that's so weird.
It's torture.
Yeah,
we're
it's
not
basically
we're not
torture.
really supposed to do that. It, like, technically, under NATO laws, we're not supposed to do that, but I don't know. I've been to Howard County Jail in 22-hour confinement. It's not called solitary, but whatever.
Yeah.
That's general. No, that's general population. And there's 22-hour lockdown and shit like that.
It's crazy. It's happening in your town you live in right now. People are being isolated from people, and we know from they know from studying prisons and isolating people that it's probably the quickest way to kill somebody's soul is to isolate them from people because we need other people.
It absolutely is. It's torturous, and like I get some people do deserve that. Maybe because they do horrible things, but like I don't know, the thought of jails is supposed to be a rehabilitation, and it's not that. It's more of a continued destruction. So,
it's more of a it's
a re-up. You go back in there and regain.
It's a very fucked up situation.
I don't think it's supposed to be rehabilitation though. I think it's supposed to be just a flat out punishment.
Well.
That's the problem is they want to turn it into that, but they don't get rid of the old norms from all that. Like, if you want to do a rehabilitation, it needs to be completely different. If you just want to punish somebody, throw them in there and let them bust rocks for a few days.
Yeah.
They won't want to do that same thing.
I'd rather the system just call it what it is if you're going to call it. Like, it's just maximum punishment for people. Like,
right. As it should. Like, that's what it originally started as. And it was a deterrent back then.
That's great for people that murder, rape, pilfer, other people, I guess. But not necessarily great for the dude that stole like a bottle of water or like had some weed.
For sure. Oh, no. If you want to talk about criminal reform, like we can, the system is fucked.
Yeah.
How it's set up all the way around from every direction.
There needs to be a tiered system. I honestly believe there should be a tiered system based upon the type of crime and whether there was a victim of the crime. And the victim and the government is not a victim, so fuck a government pretending to be a victim. But you're not a victim because you didn't tax my fucking plant.
And
you shouldn't be able to arrest me for that.
There shouldn't be 7,000 variations to each law to make sure you have it. Did you steal this? Did you kill this fucker?
Yeah.
Did you kill him with intent or did you accidentally kill him? There's only a few variations that should matter for prison. Now, punishment, there's other punishments you can have.
Yeah.
You're going to pay this guy $1 a day the rest of your fucking life because insert how much money you stole.
Yeah.
But you slit that dude's throat. You're going to have a bad day to make sure that if you ever get out again, you don't want to slit anybody's throat again.
The Abby and Libby thing has bothered me for a while. The Abby and Libby thing, because in the investigation as it's progressed, and we've gotten to the point where there's another guy in jail, and there's multiple people in jail that ended up in jail because of this investigation.
Well, they turned it into a ring sort of thing.
It basically, and what we found out was this little girl was just talking to all these random dudes and around all these random dudes, and I realize 100% like the parents of these kids have gone through the worst thing that could probably ever happen. But I feel like, and don't fucking murder me for this is a hot take, but I feel like somebody needs to look at those parents and say, what the fuck were you doing that your kids were talking to multiple molesters and you didn't even know until they were dead? Like, what the fuck is going on here? Now, I'm not saying I know they've already had the worst thing that could ever happen to them. Losing your kid is fucking horrible. But when we're all talking about this conversation, at some point there has to be a convo of like, what were the fucking parents doing at this time?
Yes.
I don't know.
My kid walking in a fucking forest.
I found out my kid was doing some stuff. Kids are sneaky.
Yeah.
Kids,
smart.
Kids are very smart. They are better with this shit that we think we take so much pride in using. They were born with it in their hands pretty much. So I can see where that kind of stuff can get around. But if there's not some kind of talk afterwards of, oh yeah, we fucked up. I mean, we missed it. Then you are missing the point. Like when your whole slaughter this, once again, this guy, that's all you're focusing on. If you don't take self-accountability for literally everything you do. I mean, we just had an hour-long conversation about self-accountability, which convinced me to realize I don't need to question this fucking guy's judgment on how he raises his hand.
At all.
I mean, he seems pretty, me and you've talked about stuff. If you don't have that, then the problem doesn't ever go away.
Yeah.
Right.
Those two little girls are gone. is a horrible tragedy.
And it's the one thing we could actually learn from this. Obviously, we're not going to learn anything from the death of these kids. We're not going to learn anything from finding the person other than that they're a piece of shit. The one thing we can actually learn from this horrible thing that happened to these little girls is how to be aware of the things that can put your kids in situations that you're not very comfortable with.
I agree.
And I think it's 2023 now, and Abby and Libby went missing in 2016?
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a minute ago.
It's been a while. I think the things that we've learned from then to now in these last 7 years have been tremendous, even from that. Yeah. And I hate to take hate to learn from heartbreak like that, but you do.
Yeah.
That happened, that rocked the community, and it was just like, hey, let's make sure we're keeping more tabs on our kids. Yeah. And like nobody's blaming Abby or Libby's parents in any way. And
I'm sure they're blaming themselves more than anybody, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's not their fault. And it's not their fault because you have to stay proactive, but you're always going to miss something.
Yeah.
That, somebody's always going to be a step ahead of you, and especially your fucking kids. Yeah. Because they probably know you better than you.
That's their job is to get around mom and dad or uncles or,
Yeah, it's like owning an information system and realizing that you're going to get hacked constantly, because the reality is that somebody's going to try to find their fucking way around it. Right. And kids are just little fucking hackers. All day, kids are nothing but little hackers. And I mean, it's the reality. I mean, I think we're probably at like an hour and a half at this point, guys, if not farther.
1:51.
Yeah, we're closer to 2 hours. I knew it.
It's Bacardi.
We had a big long conversation. It's a good podcast, though. Honestly, if you guys have stuck it through, you got to see a pretty great one, and we talked about a lot of important things. And honestly, I feel like if you've watched this, you'll probably learn some shit. Honestly, you got some teachers in here, you know what I'm saying? And
no. Some teachers. Yeah. No.
We are the teachers that don't bang kids.
Oh. I'll take that label. If I was a teacher, I would be one that didn't bang kids.
Thank you.
That'd be all right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, man. Let me go ahead and one more time throw up the Taking It Too Far podcast. If you guys have not heard the podcast, check it out.
Yeah, check it out. We come out on we're trying to do lives on Sunday.
Yeah, I like that.
Which are hit and miss because we're just starting to do that because of him. No, not really. I'm just playing. And then our show comes out on Wednesday on all the podcast places or whatnot.
Yeah, check them out.
Check us out and see what you think.
They're a fun group, and I actually really enjoy it. Every time you guys have a live, I try to show up and goof off with you guys and throw some questions. You guys see me on there once in a while. I throw some stuff on there just because I like to goof off with you guys and stay.
It can be fun,
and you guys do a lot of dick jokes, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, so don't come over there
looking for these convos. Yeah. Don't go on there looking for convos that we had today. I'm just sorry.
I don't know. Maybe. Look, I'm looking forward. I hopefully I can make it over there.
For sure. Like I said,
we'll have some sort of convo. Maybe not this serious. Maybe we can bust each other's balls a little bit more.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Kokomo Press Podcast. I'm Jordan Granger.
Yo, I'm Jordan, or Hypocrisy. Yeah, I'm Jordan.
And we've got a special guest,
Adam.
And check them out. Taking It Too Far Podcast. We love you. Thank you so much.
Later. Hug your kids. Keep them away from gross people.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Kokomo Press Podcast. We really appreciate you. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can check us out on the Kokomo Press at Facebook, at YouTube, at Instagram, or you can follow us all at our individual accounts if you want on Twitter or Facebook or wherever. You can get our merch, or if you really, really, really want to help us out, it's only $5. You can actually subscribe to our Patreon. Check that out because we have a lot of content we want to give you guys, and we want to put more and more out, and it's starting to get expensive. So hit us up. Thank you for watching this episode of the Kokomo Press Podcast. Thank you so much. We love you. 2 kisses.